And we are live. Welcome into another Ball Knowers podcast episode. I'm Jack here along today with Chase once again, like always. Chase, how you doing today?
It was an interesting day. I woke up and found out my head coach was arrested by the FBI, and um, it's been an interesting day ever since that. How about yourself?
Yeah, that was what that was. I mean, we could start there in a minute here, but like that was one of the craziest things, like headlines I've ever woken up to in sports. Like that's just I don't even know what to take from it. Well, we can talk about it a little bit though. But I mean, the NBA season started. Thunder got a huge win on Tuesday against the Rockets, double overtime. Um, Wemby looks amazing so far. Like, can't really complain about too much right now. Um, it is Thursday today. Season started on Tuesday, so we're doing these. This is I should probably preface what this video is. It's NBA standings predictions, award predictions, and over under on their season win totals. So this is 2 days into the season, so we do know a little bit, but like not in the grand scheme of the actual season, we don't know anything. Um, so yeah, before we get into it though, I do want to talk a little bit about the season if you wanted to, like just kind of briefly go over some of the stuff that we've seen so far, like Wemby 40 points and 15 rebounds, like just playing like a god. Like I said, the double overtime Thunder game. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you've watched so far, but like if anything has just stood out to you that you wanted to bring up.
I haven't really been able to watch anything other than like the second half of the Thunder game. I
Mhm.
got to see like a little bit of the Warriors Lakers game, and that's really been
Man,
about it.
DeAndre Ayton looks awful. He looked bad.
Surprise.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I did change my standings a little bit after the first 2 days because, and like I'll mention when it is. It was like one or two spots I moved a team down because like there needed to be some adjusting. I was too high on a team going into the year for sure. But we can just get into the video. I feel like it's gonna be a really long one, so we can just go right on ahead. Do you want to start in the East or the West?
We can start in the East, get that over with.
All right, so I've got little graphics here of all of our rankings. So this will make it easier for the viewing pleasure, and it also kind of makes it easier for us to go through it and not spend too long on any given team. So I put locks on the teams that I actually locked and like really felt confident. You told me when I asked you for your locks, you told me that I'm locking every single team because I'm not getting any wrong. Um,
Exactly.
so 30 locks is bold. Personally, I probably wouldn't have done that, but we can start out here in the East. We both have the Nets at the 15. You have them over 19 and a half. I have them under. I feel pretty confident on the under there. Why do you have the Nets lowest in the East? I hope you're good. All right, yeah. So why do you have the Nets lowest in the East?
I just think honestly they're by far the worst team. You know, you have so many new faces here. Like your go-to players are going to be Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr.
Mhm.
I think their offense is definitely going to be really interesting this season. You know, you got two guys who aren't very good at playmaking, kind of leading the way, and you've got a ton of faces that a lot of people aren't really expecting to be good that are super young. Um, but overall, just when you compare them to like even the other teams in this graphic, I don't really see talent on the level of any of the other teams. And the Wizards, who I think would be closest to them, I'm much more confident in the young pieces they have on their team than the Nets have. The only reason I put them over 19 and a half is because I think going under 19 is, I don't know if they're like historically bad, but
Mhm.
I think they're a good enough team to win like low 20s games by the end of the
Yeah.
year.
I honestly, I really think that this team's going to be like awful, awful, awful bad. I think we're in for a year where a few teams are going to be really bad. Like I'll spoil it now. I have the Jazz under 19 and a half too. I think there's going to be two really bad teams, and I think it's the Nets and the Jazz. This Nets roster just to me feels so void of talent. at basically every position. It's like I like Nick Claxton. I think he's pretty good. Cam Thomas is cool. MPJ is fine, but there's really like the point guard play is so lackluster here. I think the rookie core that they brought in is not good, and they're probably going to be trying to play them a decent bit, I would assume. Um, and even if they weren't, there's not like good vets on this team. Like Terrence Mann is one of their main vets. I think he's starting for them, and so I just think this is a very poor roster, and I'm not really like, there's not much going on here. To keep it moving along, the Wizards we both have in the 14. We both had over 20 and a half. It felt like I didn't want to put the Wizards as low because I feel like they're gonna not be that bad of a team. Like I feel like they're gonna at least be contending in games and stuff. They've got a fun young core with like just so many people. There's about like 10 guys there that are all below the age of 25 or 26, that all have decent promise. But I just don't the lack of star power. I think they're like some of their better players are their vets that are likely to get traded this season. I could just see them kind of tailing off at the end of the season. But I think that they're going to be competitive enough to hit their over at least.
Yeah, for me, the Wizards are just kind of they're in that middle ground. I think we talked about this when we were going through like some questions we have for NBA teams. Is that they got not a lot of they have a lot of young talent, but they have some old guys on their team as well. So you're kind of in this spot right now where you probably going to be trading some people away this season, seeing how people develop. To me, that's a team that's definitely finishing near the bottom of the conference. I do think while their young core is definitely moving me a lot more than the Nets is, I don't know how much confidence I have in them like being a playoff team in the near future. I think this is a team that will definitely be a couple of pieces away from getting back into that conversation. But like you were saying, I think they definitely have enough talent to where you can see the roster compared to the Nets and be a lot more confident in them than Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But as far as going any higher than that, I can't see it.
I think you said it pretty well. I do like Keontae George. He had a pretty good game one, and I think that he's going to be probably stepping up into their clear best player role this season. Especially, losing Jordan Poole, the ball is going to be shared around a lot more this season. So I'm kind of excited to see who can step up and kind of flourish because somebody on this team has to. And I could see it being Alex Starr. I think it'll be Keontae George, and there's a few other guys that I like too. I'm just interested to see who it's going to end up being inevitably. Moving on to the 13. I had the Bulls under 33.5. Maybe it's maybe a hot take. You had them over. I could see that at your 11, but I just don't think that this is going to be as competitive of a roster as it typically has been in the past. They always make the play-in. They always get to 39, 40, 41 wins. I just don't see it. I don't think this roster is going to be that good this year. I think they have I think there's a good chance Vooch is gone by the deadline, whether it's a cut or a trade. And the rest of the center rotation, Zach Collins, and I don't even know who after that. I don't love this team. I don't think there's a lot of particularly bright points on it. They have Giddey and Kobe White, and I like Buzelis a lot. He's I'll be talking about him later, but I think that I don't love that there's a very older core here and not one that I am buying into too much. Yeah, you have Hornets though. Tell me about that.
Yeah. For me, the Hornets are just a team. I don't really trust their health. I don't think they have a presence inside with Mark Williams gone, who even when he was there, he wasn't staying healthy either. And I've never really been big on the guys the Hornets have. LaMelo Ball, I think he's like a fine player. I think he's like a fringe all-star type of player. I don't really think he's a guy who's going to boost you into the play-in or boost you into the playoffs. I think this is like a solid team where maybe if they do find a way to stay healthy the entire year, they can push into that conversation. But, as far as their roster goes, I think a lot of people are lower on some of the teams in the East than I am. I think there's definitely, I think a lot of the teams in the East that people have, like I see the Celtics you have at 12. I think I'm a lot higher on them than a lot of people. I'm a lot higher on the Pacers than a lot of people. I think they're going to struggle to beat a lot of these teams. And, for a lot of people with the Hornets, they think LaMelo Ball is going to continue to kind of rise into this all-star type player, and for me, I just don't think he's that guy. I think they have pieces where if they brought in a star, you have the supplemental guys to make that kind of run. But right now, I don't think they have the people there that they need right now to be in that conversation. So I do think they'll go over their win projection. I think 27.5 is a little low, but I don't think I could see them making their way into the play-in.
All right. I mean, you could see here, I don't even have the Hornets on this screen, so like, that says something. But I think that they're going to be pretty good. I think, or they're not going to be like contending or anything like that, but I think that they're going to reach higher than people are expecting. I was really high on them last year, so I'm dialing it back a little bit this year, but I'm still kind of high on them. Liam McNeely looked pretty good in preseason and in that first game. Diabate wasn't bad last year. So I still feel like they've got a few pieces there that like it's not going to be as bad as it seems. But yeah, the injuries really is the thing that can derail the Hornets season. We saw that last year, but they started out really hot, and when they were healthy, they were good. So I'm going to bank on them being healthy for once and being good when they're healthy. The 12 seed, like you said, I had the Celtics pretty low. I have them under 41.5 at the 12 seed. I just think that they're going to kind of tank this season. I think they're not going to be that good, and the center rotation is really, really, really bad. Like one of the worst in the league. Bad. I think that the looming injury of Jaylen Brown with this MCL situation. He talked about it in starting five. I don't know if you watched it. You talked about it during the offseason a little bit. I think that he's going to inevitably be ruled out for the season at some point. I think that what their strategy is going to be, like if they're not contending as well as they were hoping, if they're ending up in the play-in race or the actual playoff race, I could see him just sticking out the season and hoping that Tatum can come back. Maybe I don't expect Tatum to come back either. I know that's been a popular talking point. But if they're losing a lot of games more than expected, then I could see them just saying Jaylen Brown, it's February, it's March, just take off the season, and then they kind of tail spin at the end there and end up losing a lot near the end. I just don't think this roster is particularly good without Tatum. And I'm not high on Jaylen Brown as a number one option at all. I don't think that he's a number one option guy at all. So I just don't see them hitting a winning record this season.
Yeah, for me, the Miami Heat fall down here. I think by virtue of having Eric Spoelstra, they're going to be able to find their way back into. And I even the more I think about it, I might even put them over the Bulls. But I do think they'll go under 37.5 regardless, just because I look at their roster and I really think that one of Hero or Bam, probably Hero, is getting moved. I really don't have confidence in a lot of the people they have on the roster besides Ware, as far as their younger talent goes. Jaquez, I think, has already kind of plateaued. I think we're not going to really see him get much better. And as far as point guard goes, they're putting either a lot of faith into, I'm not even going to try that name, but the kid from
Kasparas
Illinois.
Giacochonis,
yeah. The kid from Illinois, they're either putting a lot of faith in him or they're putting a lot of faith in Mitchell. I don't really think that's really good place for your playmaking to be coming from. I'm just not very high on this team. I do think somebody gets traded. I do think that kind of, like you were saying with the Celtics, would send them on a tailspin near the end of the season. So for me, yeah, just not very high on what Miami has. I do think Eric Spoelstra is good enough to get them there. But I just don't think this team's very talented at all.
Yeah, I was struggling to put the Heat not on this last page. I don't think that they're particularly great either. They just played the Hornets yesterday, and they didn't look good at all. Their offense without Tyler Hero, I mean, it's just so bad. They don't have any good creators. They just lost their point guard. I can assume indefinitely in Terry Rozier because he's going to jail. He showed up to court today in handcuffed wrists and ankles. So, I mean, that situation's so crazy. Obviously, like we didn't really talk about it at the top of the show, but he got caught gambling. I always figured he was gambling once they like initially came out and said that he was.
Mhm.
Like it just kind of made sense because he like had such a bad year that like it would have made sense. The Chauncey Billups thing that's like I think it's a different situation, but I also wouldn't be
It
surprised if
is.
he's linked to like Jonte Porter and stuff like that. Because like he was also in like some mafia situations. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. But Terry Rozier's done. Sold his career away for $200,000. It's just so dumb.
Yeah,
Um,
that
yeah.
I mean, it's not like he would have helped their point guard room very much, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
kind of just something that'll loom over the team to start the season as well, as things are always kind of.
Yeah, it's just it's it's
It'll
just
be
like
interesting to see.
jarring. It's really the way to say it. But
Yeah,
whatever. All right, one here is Raptors and Bulls. I kind of touched on the Bulls already, so I feel like we don't have to do it too much more. But you did have the over, so I'm sure that you have something positive to say about them.
not necessarily positive. I just feel like 33.5 is kind of low. I think this is a team that wins 36 games, like 36 to 38 range type games, just because I think, like the Raptors, their team has a lot of like okay players on it. I just have more faith in a lot of the Raptors players, which is why I slotted them over the Bulls.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, like I don't really have confidence in the Bulls. These bottom five teams in the East, I think, are all horrible. Like,
Yeah,
and to varying degrees of horrible, but I think the Bulls just could come out on top of the bunch because there's questions about if the Heat are going to trade people for me, that could cause them to lose more games. I have questions about the Hornets' health. I think the Wizards and Nets are clearly the bottom two teams. So for me, the Bulls just kind of came out on top of the crapshoot here.
yeah,
But
that's fair.
I could see this order changing depending on like how those variables play out throughout the season.
Mm. Yeah, I think like probably the one with the most fluctuation ability is the Hornets because if they are healthy, I could
Yeah,
see them like banking on them not being healthy is pretty fair. It's kind of the same as the Sixers. My last one is the Raptors though. They they just like didn't really this roster doesn't really impress me too much. I think the center rotation is still pretty poor. I think that this is just kind of a group of like third options and second options at best, and there's no real number one option. I like Scotty Barnes a lot, but he hasn't shown that he could be a true number one option on a like playoff type team. And so until he does, if he does that this season, then I'll eat my words. But I don't really expect that to happen. Brandon Ingram's cool, but I don't think that he's like gonna change this ceiling so drastically. RJ Barrett, I'm not a fan, and Emmanuel Quickly, I'm not too much of a fan of either. Um, CMB is cool, South Carolina legend. Grady Dick had a decent rookie season, but there's not a lot of parts here that I really love from this team, and um, I like Darko Rajakovic as the coach, but he's also still a little bit of a question mark, and so I don't know. It's just not my favorite roster. I think that there's not a obscene amount of talent here. There's no real star power, and I think that ends up just holding them back from true contention or playoff success. But all right, we can. I mean, do you have anything to add there? You got the Raptors coming up here, so we can talk about the
yeah.
Raptors. Why did
And the
you
thing
go
about the
under on
Raptors
them?
is the thing for me with the Raptors is like I said, I don't really think they're good either. I just think they're like a better version of the Bulls almost, where like Brandon
Hmm.
Ingram, Barrett, yeah, quickly. You still have players on your team who I trust more than I think the players are on the Bulls, but I still don't think the Raptors are a very good team. I think honestly, like I have the under for the Bucks and the Celtics as well. I think everything below like everything after the Bucks in the East is going to be pretty bad. I think the Bucks are also going to be pretty bad, but I think there's like a very clear, to me at least, top 7 or 8 teams in the East, and after that, you're going to have a bunch of teams below 40 wins. So I think the Raptors just a slightly better version of what the Bulls are bringing to the table in terms of you have like a roster full of these very average to good players. And I just trust their guys a little bit more than I trust Chicago's. But I don't think the Raptors will seriously threaten anybody in the play-in if they get there.
Yeah, no. I think that I mean, if they go up against the Celtics, they could win that game, but like there's not that might be the only team that they could beat in this range. Like I think they even lose to like a Heat or something. I mean, maybe they don't, but like even if they lose to the Pacers / Bucks, so who really cares? I had the Hornets at 10. We kind of talked about it already, but Carson Wentz is having a bad game. We kind of talked about it already, but
Shocker.
yeah, Justin Herbert's dicing. So yeah, we already went over it a little bit, but I'm pretty high on the Hornets. I think LaMelo is pretty good. I'm excited for year 2, or no, year 3 rather. Brandon Miller. He looks like he had a great preseason, and he looks like he's coming in a lot stronger this year. I believe in his breakout this season. Yeah, I think that Cal Brenner could be a solid center for them. I think they've got a really decent depth. They had like I think it was like 8 or 9 guys score 10 points last night. And I think that they have good scorers off the bench. They got Trey Mann and of course now I'm blanking on this roster, but like I think that this is not going to be Sexton exactly. Yeah, like I think that they added good pieces to this team this offseason, where I'm not really like as worried about their when LaMelo's not on the court as much as I was in years past. And yeah, like Miles Bridges still there, whatever. Knipple, I think is going to fit into this team really well. I wouldn't like maybe it takes him a little bit to get the shot down, but I think he'll be fine. And then like Grant Williams coming back is cool. Dejan Salon sucks though; he's never going to be good. But yeah, they've got a cool team. I think that if they're healthy, then they will be around this range. I think that they will be like a 10-11 seed for sure. It's just can they be healthy is really the biggest thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, health's the biggest question for me with the Hornets. But as far as the Celtics go, for me at 9, I think this is like the last of those teams that I don't really think will threaten the playoffs. They're just like there's these. You basically, for me, you have the Bucks and up. I think those are the clear 8 playoff teams. And then everything else below them are kind of just fighting in that pecking order to see who's going to be on top of all these mid teams. But to me, the Celtics, they won the championship 2 years ago, and they've still got a lot of pieces on the team from there. They've lost Holiday, they've lost Porzingis, Tatum's out. People are saying Tatum might come back. I think because the fact they're not going to really be threatening for a playoff spot that hard, Tatum probably will not come back unless he's able to come back like sometime after the All-Star break. But I think that's pretty unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, like Jaylen Brown, I think he's good. Obviously, I don't really think he's like a super good number 1. Otherwise, I'd probably have them in the playoffs. But Derek White's a great player. Pritchard's a great player. Simons is a good player. You have a lot of pieces on this team that can be competitive. They're well coached. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. I do have them under the 40. I think it was 41.5. So, I don't think they're going to be good. I think they probably win 39, 40 games. I think there'll be a lot of teams in the East in that like 12 to 9 range that win like between 30 or between like 36 and 40 games.
Yeah,
those teams will all be super close. But for me, the Celtics, I just trust the experience that they still have on the roster. Obviously their big man rotation sucks. They don't have as much depth anymore. So I could see this team dropping out, especially if injuries are going to be a factor. Like Jaylen Brown's not healthy the whole year, but I think they have enough to get them into that play. And once they get there, I just think they're going to be losing. Or I think they'd play the Raptors in this case and they'd win, but I don't think they'd ever seriously threaten the playoffs.
Yeah, I think. I mean, do you see the world where Anthony Simons gets traded this season? Because like he is on an expiring, and I don't know if they want to bring him back.
Yeah, I could see Anthony Simons going to provide something off the bench for a contender. I don't really have like a team that he could go to off the top of my head. There's a lot of teams in the East that would probably be vying for a chance to get at him. Because
I feel like Detroit might make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Detroit could work. There's a lot of teams that could use like his kind of spark plug off the bench. Because I mean, when you talk about Simons, you're talking about a guy who you can see it in his game has like pretty much adapted the way Dane played when they were playing together in Portland. He shoots in a very similar way. He comes off screens in a very similar way. He's comfortable taking those shots from 3, 4, 5 steps behind the arc. So yeah, he brings a very valuable asset in his shooting. and he's that type of guy off the bench. He's like a more efficient Jordan Clarkson almost in the way that
Mhm.
he could come off the bench and give you like 20 points any given night and be a serious sixth man of the year contender on a contender. So I would like to see him get traded. I think if he did get traded, it would really hurt the Celtics. Its chances of getting this high in the standings because he's probably top 3 player on their team right now, and so yeah, I would like the idea of a Simons trade to a team that's a little bit more competitive.
Are we taking Simons over Pritchard?
I think it's close.
I think I'm taking Pritchard.
I think it's
feel
pretty
like
50-50 for me.
there.
But
I think I go Pritchard. Brandon in chat is calling you a terrorist, so that's nice. Thanks, Brandon.
Brandon terrorist chase.
All right, moving along. I got the Heat at the 9. I had them over 38.5. I could have gone under because I don't think this is going to be a good team. 38.5 just kind of felt low for a Heat team that like always feels like they get a winning record and like find ways to have good defenses and stuff. But man, if Tyler Hero is out for like, if we're going into December and he's still out, then this is like it's gonna be really bad. I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs entirely if he's like still not back by then. But I think that they can they'll find ways to survive. I think Khalil Ware is gonna have a really good season, and it's just like believing in their coaching and like just their general like just team. I mean, their organization never really like has tanking years, so I just I'll bet on that continuing to be the case. Moving on, I've got the Pacers at the 8 seed. I have them going under 43.5. I don't know how our lines here were so drastically different.
Yeah,
I just realized that now.
Yeah, if there was anywhere you could have got the Pacers at over 37.5, that might be the freest thing I've ever seen.
It definitely was 43.5. I don't I don't know where you got 37.5 from.
Let me see.
That's funny.
I got them all from the same.
While you're doing that, I'll talk. Okay, I just went off FanDuel, but whatever. So I think the Pacers are going to be a competitive team this season. They're going to be feisty, but without Halliburton, I think that this offense is going to really, really suffer. We've seen them in tonight's game already, like really still applying that pace and still applying the pressure. Full court defense, really fast offense, but it's not going to be as efficient without Halliburton. The shot making is not going to be as consistent. The open shots aren't going to be as consistently there because Halliburton just has such a high gravity that he pulls so many defenders away and he makes the crazy passes that nobody else on this team is going to be able to make. Losing Miles Turner is going to be huge. The center rotation is really it might be the worst in the NBA. And I just think that they're lacking star power. They have one all-star level player. And people are going to hope that Nembhard can step up to that. I don't really expect him to. I think that the biggest question mark here is Benedict Mathurin, who they did not extend. They did not give the rookie extension to. They're giving him another year to ball out and earn the contract that he deserves or, probably end up walking somewhere else. And I think that he's going to be a huge part in their ability to, hit their ceiling this season or hit their floor. I think it's going to really largely come down to how much of an offensive load he can handle.
Yeah, so I went back to the website. BetMGM not only has the Pacers at 37.5, they are favoring the under on their site. So they have it as better odds for them to go under 37.5. So that is literally the freest thing I've ever seen.
They're currently beating the Thunder by 3 with 4 minutes left. So I mean, you might want to put some money on that mid-pod because that is really good.
That is a ridiculous line. I'm not going to lie. For me, it was very clear they were going over that. But I'm also just very high on this Pacers team and I have them at 7. I could see them sliding beneath the Bucks. I think those two teams in terms of win totals will be probably around the same spot, probably that 42, 43, 44 range. But I'm high on Mathurin and Nembhard. I think they're going to break out this year. I think they're going to be really good. I know Nembhard got hurt today. I didn't see how severe it was, but
it looked like it was okay, but it didn't seem like it was too drastic. But he did miss the entire second half.
Yeah. Miles Turner, I don't think will actually be too big of a loss for them. Obviously, there is a hole there. I don't think their backup centers are going to provide as much value as he brought. But this was a
Mm.
plus team without Halliburton last year, a team that would have been over 41 wins without Halliburton last year. And I like their depth. I love their coach. I think Carlisle's up there in the conversation for best coach in the league. And I
Mm.
love the way that they play. They, like you were saying, they play fast. They're aggressive on defense. It's a team that likes to force turnovers, get out in transition, and they got a lot of athletic players. They got a lot of shooters. They got guys who can take you off the dribble. And I do have faith in Siakam as their top guy to be able to get them into the playoffs. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. And Benedict Mathurin right now is playing amazing, and I thought he played up and down in the finals and the playoffs. But if he's a guy that can break out and be the guy that they drafted him to be, then I think next year you're talking about like one of those teams that people are talking about as a title favorite, because
Mm.
you get Halliburton back with a better version of Mathurin and another year of Siakam. Maybe you go out and you get a center in free agency, but that's so far off in the future. I'm excited to watch them this year. I think they're going to be one of the more exciting teams to watch, and that's why I have them at 7.
Yeah, that's fair. You had the Bucks
You
at
want me to talk
8.
about the Bucks?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I
we can
kind of
kind of both talk about them a little bit as we
yeah,
both have them here.
I kind
Um,
of I kind of just missed
mm.
the Pacers because you had been talking about them.
Yeah.
But
Well, so wait, so you had the Pacers over 37.5. If it was
yeah,
43.5, are you still taking the over or are you taking the under?
I think they're going to finish like right at 43 or 44. So I think 43.5 is like a really good line. I would have struggled with, but like I
Mm.
got given a cake. Like if I were to actually have gone through and done locks, this is like the lock of all locks, because
Yeah.
I think they're 100% going over this. But if you want to talk about the Bucks, or I can talk about the
Yeah, no,
Bucks.
I could start it off and then like because we both have them here, so we could kind of share the interest. I had them over, you had them under 43.5. I think that
Mhm.
this team is it's really just going to come down to how hard can Giannis carry this roster.
Yep.
It's not a good roster compared to years past. They lose Dame to the Achilles tear, plus him going back to Portland, and I think that this is it's gonna like really be Giannis and friends. Miles Turner is a cool addition. The Bucks get a better center than Brook was their last few years there, but he's still not like exactly what the Bucks would love. I think that if they could get a center that is a really good rim protector rather than just a pop guy, like a 3-and-D more 3-point guy, then like that would be cool. But Turner's still a good center. Like this point guard rotation is not great. Really, the whole guard rotation, the team's just not great. You still have Kyle Kuzma, and I'm not really helping my case here, but somebody has to win games in the East. And I feel like there's a lot of bad teams, and I think like just having Giannis is going to be enough to get them over the hump of a lot of the Eastern Conference games, or at least like have them split with a lot of the teams that are in that range. And like it really comes down to somebody has to win. I think Giannis is just going to have to like have a 35 point, 15 rebound, like 6 assist season again, and he's not going to win He's not going to win MVP, and he's just going to have like the most unreal season ever. And I think that'll be enough to carry them to like it'll be probably in like the 6 to 8 range, probably 6 or 7. Because I think that they're better than the Pacers. Like I think they're better than the Celtics, the Heat, Hornets, blah blah blah, whatever, Raptors. And you have the Sixers really high. We'll get to that later. I don't really believe in the Sixers that much, but why did you have the Bucks at 8 and take their under?
So yeah, for me, the Bucks is like you said, it's Giannis and friends, and I think friends are horrible. Like I have no doubt that
I
Giannis is
think
going to be
friends are
spectacular this
horrible.
season.
Yeah.
Like, but I talked about this at the end of last season. I talked about this when we were going over their team in the questions we were doing for NBA teams.
Mm.
I think the Bucks, outside of Giannis, have the worst roster in the league. Like, if you were to just pluck Giannis off this team, I think they'd be like 12, 13 wins, like fighting for the first spot in the NBA draft. This is a absolutely atrocious roster, and I think whenever they run into a tough team on their schedule, Giannis will literally have to drop 50 points for them to be in the game.
Yeah.
And I think Giannis is good enough to drag them into the playoffs. I expect the Bucks to make the playoffs. I think there is like a gap between them and the Celtics. You know, when I say under 43.5, I have them like literally right there with the Pacers in terms of wins. I think they'll be right around the same spot, 43, 42 to 44 wins, that range. But I just can't buy into the rest of their roster. I'm not super high on Miles Turner. I think he's a fine addition. I'm not super high on Bobby Portis. I absolutely can't get behind anybody else on their roster. So it really is just like this. This is, in my opinion, still putting faith in Giannis by having them this high because their team is just truly despicable.
I will add to, I do think there's a real legitimate possibility Giannis gets traded at the deadline.
Really?
And yeah, I don't think it's, I think there's more of a chance this year than ever before. I wouldn't bet on it happening. I think that he gets dealt in the offseason.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think that the conversation is going to start, especially if they aren't that good going into the deadline. Like they might just be like, you know, should we try to contend? I mean, they don't even have their own first round pick, so like, I guess there's no reason to try to tank this season. But like, I don't know. They're in a weird situation. It's really like Giannis has to carry hard. AJ Mitchell's really good, and Benedict Mathurin is 30 and 10, really efficient. This is a 1-point game with under 2 minutes left. All right, the last one. I have the 76ers at the 7 seed. You had the Hawks at the 6 seed. You can go into why you have the Hawks at the 6 first.
Yeah, I just think 47.5 is a little high for them. That's why I went under on that. But I think the Hawks definitely have a lot of good players on their team. Obviously, you got some question marks in terms of like Jalen Johnson, Porzingis. How are they going to be able to stay on the court? Which, you know, I think them and the Sixers are going to be really close at this 5 and 6 spot. I think there's a top 4 teams for me, and then it's kind of the Sixers and the Hawks right in that next spot. And I am going to buy into the Sixers this year. You know, it's a mistake that I make pretty much every year, and I'm doing it again. But as far as the Hawks go, I think they'll probably hang around like 46 wins. I think Trae Young's a great engine. I think, you know, Dyson Daniels is that defensive chess piece that you needed. And, you know, you have all these pieces coming together on this roster.
Got him on a crazy contract. That Dyson Daniels contract is wild. I think 400, right?
Was it 4 years, 100?
I'm pretty sure it was. Like, yeah, because Christian Braun got 125, which, like, Christian Braun is a good player, but like Dyson Daniels is clearly better. And I don't know, but fair enough to them. They got a good deal. Sorry, go on with what you're saying.
They got Alexander Walker for depth. You know, they've got pieces, and I think health will kind of hit them at various points throughout the season. But I definitely expect them to be out of the plan. I think after the Bucks and the Pacers, there's 6 teams that I think are clearly out of the plan, and for me, the Hawks are the first of those teams. So I think it will be between them and the Sixers at 5 and 6, and I could see either one getting either or. But that's just how I was feeling that day through the Hawks at 6 and.
Fair enough.
That's where I got them.
I had the Sixers at 7. I just, I still took their over. I think they're going to be a good team. I kind of believed in Embiid a little bit more than he showed it. I mean, in game 1, he looked really, really bad. He looked old, slow, tired, injured, like kind of all of it. It felt like he wasn't like he wasn't even entering the paint on offense. Like he wasn't even trying to. So it just wasn't. Sorry, Shai's about to do something really cool and orful. He just broke a 3. But yeah, I just think that this team's going to be pretty good this year. Edgecombe looked amazing. I think he had the most points in a rookie debut since Wilt. He had 34, I believe. And he was just like dominant. I think once they get Jared McCain back, he'll be great. Maxey looked good. Like the Sixers team is a good team. They really need Embiid to play more than years past and play well because the center rotation is really, really bad without Embiid. And even with him, it's still not amazing. It's just like he is that good that he can elevate it to an above average level. But they need him to be healthy, be present, and like be playing actively well. And he didn't show in game one. I mean, it's only the first game of the season, like coming off of almost a year layoff essentially for him. So I get it, but there's a little bit worrisome there. I think that they could be a fun team though, and if Embiid gets back into it by the playoff time, like they are a legitimate contender to some degree in the East. Which I mean, I feel like you haven't really been able to say too much over the years past. So yeah, that's really all from here, unless you have anything else you want to add to that. The Sixers, but they'll be coming up just in a minute here.
I've got the Sixers next up, so I can just talk about them briefly.
Yep.
Like
we both
took
their over.
I do think they finish around the same spot as the Hawks win wise. They obviously we're never going to see pre-injury 2024 Embiid again. I think body's just too bagged up to be that level of dominant again. But I think the Sixers now have that core. You have Grimes, you have McCain coming back, you have Edgecombe who played fantastic, you have Maxey, you have Paul George is going to have less pressure on him this year. He's kind of had a year to adjust to being there now. I think you have enough talent here where even if Embiid misses like 30 games, you're still going to have enough talent to get into the playoff picture. Embiid just has to be 80-85% of what he was a couple years ago. And you're talking about a team that when healthy can still easily contend for a championship. And honestly, if Embiid plays 60 plus games, probably fighting for a top 2 spot in the East. I love the talent on the team. I love Edgecombe. I think we're looking at like someone who could potentially be a really special player. You can tell he's just.
He gives me like Anthony Edwards vibes, like that. Like,
yeah, superhuman athlete. And you could tell from the draft interview how much like making it to the league means to him, how much he's been through. You can tell he's just a very driven player. So I think he's going to be an exciting guy to watch. I'm looking forward to watching the Sixers this season, and I think they have the talent to really make a run at it if they can just, for once, get blessed with a tiny bit of health.
Yeah, and the McCain situation is really interesting to me because he was so good last season, and then tears MCL, goes out for the year. And now with the thumb injury, he'll be out for I think it's going to be about a month or so. But like if he can come back and kill it like he was before, I think that this is going to be a really, really good team. Like I don't know how he's going to fit in with Maxey and Edgecombe there, but it's going to be. Oh my God, Siakam just hit a crazy shot. Shea has 40 by the way tonight. I did not realize that he's going crazy, but yeah, I think it'll be a really cool situation. I don't know who plays 6-man. I'm assuming it'll be McCain. I guess they could do Edgecombe, but either situation it's not the wrong answer. But yeah, all right. So I'll move on to my 5. I've got the Hawks. I took the over on all 5 of my top 5 teams. I just think that this is going to be a top heavy East. It was really tough for me to find a team that I think I might have taken the top. I think might have taken the over on top 7 teams. I just couldn't find a team that I didn't like that much. I think the Hawks are going to be really good. I locked them as an over. And I did see this line move up to like 48.5, 47.5 cents. So clearly I did something right. I believe in the second year of this team, kind of with the same core as last year, but with a few extra additions in Kristaps and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, like you talked about. I think the difference of Onyeka and Kristaps compared to Onyeka and Clint Capella is going to be really nice this year. I think Alexander Walker and Dyson Daniels is going to be a crazy duo that is going to be really tough for teams to go against. You still have Trae Young, who's one of the best point guards in the league. I think Jalen Johnson's going to break out to that all-star level guy that he kind of showed he could be last year. Oh, shit. Siakam kind of cooked Chet, get him falling a little bit. And I just believe in this roster to I guess, exceed expectations. I don't really know. I guess maybe your expectations. But I think that this is just a pretty solid team. It's going to be good defensively for the first time in a while. And I think Ricochet second year is he's going to continue to get better too. There's not really many holes on this roster that I can point at and say I don't like. I mean, even like Mo Gay as their third center, he was really good last season. So I just think that they've got a lot of spots on here that I like. We're going to another overtime. Nice. My God, the Thunder. Shea's going to win. I'm going to change. I'm changing Clutch Player of the Year to Shea. This is ridiculous. All right, moving on. 4 seed. You've got the Magic. I've got the Pistons. Let's talk about it. Why do you got the Magic?
Yeah, I thought 51.5 was a little high for them. I think they're going to be a solid team. I honestly think they will like get around that 50 win mark. But to me, I look at these three other teams that I have ahead of them, and I don't know how confident I am in the Magic just with the addition of Desmond Bain to get back into this like top three team conversation. So, you got Suggs back. There's definitely a lot of talent on their team. I've just never been super high on Paulo. I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's a one on a contender player, but we'll have this season to find out if that's true or not. Wagner,
Mhm.
I think Wagner's a great complementary piece. Uh, I don't know how confident I am as their 2/3. I guess two, since they'll probably be handling the ball a lot more than Bain will. But they have a nice core. They have a good team. It's kind of like one of these teams that comes around every so often. It feels like every 5 years there's one of these teams that has like all of these like borderline all-star players that aren't really that insane, but together as a collective can form like a solid playoff team. And I
Yeah.
could see them 100% winning a playoff series, but I don't think I'd have this team threatening the Eastern Conference Finals or anything of that sort. So I put them at 4. Um, and I can talk about later why I have more faith in the teams above them, but
Mhm.
that's where I would
Yeah.
have them to start the season.
Um, I'll jump to my 3 seed, the Magic. I took their over, you took their under. I think this is a pretty good team. I've never really been that high on the Magic. I'm still not high on Paolo to the degree that many other people are, thinking that he's like some mini LeBron or this, that, the third. I think that there's a lot of things in his game that I'm not a huge fan of. Franz was amazing last season. He really showed me that he could be like a true 1B kind of guy on a team. Um, I think that this like Wendell Carter is still pretty good. Jalen Suggs was really good last season. I think the addition of Desmond Bain is going to be so massive for them. Going from like the worst or one of the worst 3 point shooting teams in the league, your main 3 point shooter was KCP, to Desmond Bain, who's one of the best in the NBA. He already showed it in game one. He had a fantastic game. He really lit up this offense. They were finally scoring well over 100 points when it felt like every game last season was like 99 to 98 when the Magic played. And yeah, I think that like it's more than just the guys that I just named. I think Tyus Jones is the backup point guard. He's not even that great, but it's like a better option than I'm not high on Anthony Black personally. I like Tristan
Yeah.
Silva a lot this year. I think that he's going to continue to get better. If Jonathan Isaac can play like consistently or like even more than he has in the past, he looked good last year when he was playing more. So I think that there's they've got great coaching in Jamal Mosley too. So I think that this is just a good roster that it's going to be really competitive this season. It's going to be a lot better offense while still maintaining that elite defense that they had last year. And yeah, I don't know if I would have them truly contending in the sense that like I would take them to beat the Cavs or Knicks or Pistons, but I do like this roster to at least win one round this year, which is better than they've done in the past.
Yeah, I think that's their ceiling for me is the semifinals. I think that's where they'll end up at. But do you want me to talk about New York?
Yeah, we can go to the Knicks next.
Yeah. So for New York, for me, it's kind of just pretty much going to be similar to the situation from last year, where I think this team will finish around the same amount of wins. Low 50s. I think it's pretty much the same team we've got going into this season. You're looking at Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, Robinson. Like, I don't know. This team is. I feel like we're kind of starting to see this team plateau a little bit.
Hmm.
I don't think this team. I try to envision in my head the New York Knicks making the NBA Finals, and I can't picture it. But somebody has to win the East, and like
Yeah.
the Knicks are going to be in that conversation because Brunson's a good enough player to get you that far. So I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to like expand on anything I've said about the Knicks before because we're literally talking about the same team every year. It feels like there's new players, but it's the same end result every time. Where it's like this team that's very competitive in the regular season doesn't feel like they can beat the top teams though because they're just not quite there, and then they
Hmm.
come up short in the playoffs. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that'll kind of be where it goes this year. I think they'll hang around this 2-3 seed spot. I don't think them and the Pistons will be separated by very much. I could easily see all three of those teams from 2 to 4 kind of being
Yeah.
within the same like 1-2 wins of each other. I think there's brackets in the East where all these teams are just going to be mushed together into these very tight wins, these win
Hmm.
totals. And I think the Knicks and the Magic and the Pistons are in one of those brackets. So
I
I
agree.
could see them finishing 4. I could see them finishing 2, but I'm just not very high on them as far as what they can do after the regular season.
Yep. But yeah, there's 6 people viewing at the moment, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and like. Let's go. Jordan Addison touchdown. That's big time. Thunder are currently losing in overtime. This is awful. This is disgusting. Um, moving along. Yeah. So you said that the Knicks are pretty similar to last year. I kind of disagree. I mean, they have a new coach in Mike Brown. They changed that bench around. Like, I mean, their biggest problem was their bench going last season, and it was really why I was like kind of low on them. Was there just lack of depth? They had to play their starters so many minutes, and now, I mean, Huck Porty looks to be a legitimate backup center, which is a great revelation for them. Yabusele as a backup 4, I loved him on the Sixers last season. I thought that he was really productive for them, and so I think that's going to be. I think that was just such a huge signing for them. You still have Josh Hart off the bench, which is going to be great for you. Jordan Clarkson, who like hasn't been a greatest playoff player in his past, but he's like a guy who could just go get you a bucket, and that's going to be a great guy to have for them off their bench. And then Miles McBride as their backup 1. Like that's Deuce McBride's a good player too. I think Brogdon retiring was a big loss for them. I think that he really would have offered like a really stable backup point guard veteran presence for them. But I think that they'll be fine. I still have them at my 2 seed, but I don't like that does worry me a little bit. Because I think that was their biggest problem last year, backup point guard minutes, and it probably still is. But I think that this is a more well-rounded lineup than years past, and I think that they've got probably a better coach than years past. And I think the finals is the limit for them. It's kind of finals or bust for you because you made the conference finals last year, so like you have to improve off that. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to see this Knicks team. I think that they're going to be really competitive this season. Um, yeah. We can move on to the Pistons. I had them at my 4, which I took the over and locked them at 45.5. You took their over as well at your 2 seed. You're kind of considerably higher on them than I am, I guess. So why do you have the Pistons at your 2 seed? You're like the first person I've seen say that.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are going to be one of those teams that kind of bursts onto the scene this year as like a serious contender in the East, because like I was saying, I was trying to picture some of these teams making a run. I can't picture the Knicks getting to the finals. I can't picture the Magic getting to the finals. The Sixers, I can't picture them like truly staying healthy enough to make it to the finals. And for me, the Pistons, I'm able to picture this team taking all this young talent they have, getting better this year. They have another year together. Ivy's going to be back
Mm.
later this season, and Cade is going to continue to get better. Although I think we'll start to see Cade plateau a little bit the next couple of years from
I
what
don't know.
we've seen him do
I think there's another
last year.
level. I think there's another level of a breakout for him this year.
If he can hit another level of a breakout, though, I think I would take the Pistons to potentially win the East this year. I like a lot of the depth they added. I think Holland and Azar are a nightmare on the wing to play against, and I think they're both going to get better this year. I think Azar Thompson, everyone talks about Amen Thompson
Mm-hmm.
because he's in
100%.
Houston and they were better last year. I think Azar is like every bit
And he's a
as
better
good.
offensive player too.
Um, Amon's a better offensive player, but like Azar is like these one of the best defenders in the league. Like he's right up there with Amon in terms of defensive talent, and he's a guy that you could throw on the other team's best player, and completely shut the faucet off. So I like their center rotation. I just think they have a lot of young talent that's going to get better and kind of bond as the season goes on. And I think this team is, I think we're looking at like mid 50s wins for them, low 50s. I could see them
Mm-hmm.
finishing as low as 4. I think they're definitely going to finish with home court, but I
for
think this
sure.
would be my team to meet the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals this year because I'm very high on the young players that they have on their team.
Yeah, I think they've got a bright future this season. The not extending Duran to me was very strange. I didn't really understand that move at all. But bringing in Duncan Robinson to replace um, uh, uh, why am I blanking on his name? The guy
Beasley.
Michael Beasley, or Malik Beasley. That'll be a good addition. I think that he is probably a better player than Beasley. So, I mean, it's a little bit like replacing him, just like a 180 or 360, you didn't do anything, but I think it's still good. I think I think he's gonna step up even more this season, like elevate into a true top 10 level guy where he's like top 15 right now. And I mean, they're kind of running it back with basically the same core, but they had a really good season last year, and great coach. Like I don't see why you wouldn't want to run it back. With just like internal development really being the biggest thing. I think Asar is a very criminally underrated defender. Chet, please, my God, man, we're gonna lose this game. I think Chet is a criminally underrated defender, or not Chet. Sorry, Asar is a criminally underrated defender. I think he's arguably better than Amen, and I think this team's going to be really competing for like they could be competing for the title sooner than we think, like this year or next year. I have them at 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're the 3. 45.5 between them and the Hawks. I'm much more confident the Pistons hit the over than the Hawks.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit on our last team. We both have the Cavs at the 1 seed. They finished 1 last year, considerably over this number. I will add. I think they got like 62 wins last year, right? And the number I was seeing, I saw
something like 64,
60,
somewhere around
there. Yeah, it was somewhere around there. And like this number I was seeing 56 and 57.5. I don't know why it's this low. Was this like an easy over for you? It was like extremely easy for me.
I actually was considering taking the under on the Cavs until I saw that it wasn't. If the over was in like the 59-60 range, I was 100% going to take the under. I think this team will definitely finish like 57, 58 wins probably at most. I think their depth could end up being a problem for them this year. It was one of their biggest strengths last year. I think Lonzo was actually a great pickup, but
I agree. Yeah.
I think, behind bigs, I don't think they have very good depth there. And they have the best starting lineup in the Eastern Conference. It's not close, but I think the depth could be a problem for them this year more so than it was last year. And Atkinson kind of has the system there where they're gonna be fine, but I don't think we're going to see them be the same level of team they were last year, even if they are, in my opinion, the best team in the East and the favorite to come out of the East. I don't think we will see them be that 65, 64 win team that we saw last year.
I mean, the depth is not amazing. I do agree. The Lonzo signing was big. I think it'll be better than oh my God, I'm blanking on everybody today. The point. Yeah, thank you, Ty Jerome. I kept saying Ty. I couldn't think of his last name. Yeah, I think it'll be better than Ty Jerome for them. And he was even in the 6-man conversations. I think Jalen Tyson's going to play a big role for them this season, and Larry Nance as a backup 5 is going to have a big role for them. So, I guess those are like Tyson as a rookie. Larry Nance hasn't been the greatest player throughout his career, but I mean, this starting lineup is just really, really good, and I think that they're like, there's no reason for them not to win the East this season, and it's kind of the same as last year. Like it's finals or bust for them. Last year was a real disappointment. I don't care what they say about injuries or whatever else. Like that was embarrassing for them to lose the way they did. So they need to come back this season, with revenge and like trying to right what happened last season, which to right what happened last season means you have to make it past the second round. And if you're going to make it to the championship, then you might as well make it to the finals. So it's finals or best for them. But I like this 100%. Team. I think that they're considerably the best team in the East. All right. So to run through our standings really quick. Let me add back. Okay, so we started out with Nets, Wizards, Bulls, Celtics, Raptors for me. Nets, Wizards, Hornets, Heat, Bulls for Chase. Then let me pull it up again. Okay. And then Hornets, Heat, Pacers, Sixers, Bucks for me. Raptors, Celtics, Bucks, Pacers, Hawks for Chase. And then we close it out like you saw. Hawks, Pistons, Magic, Knicks, Cavs for me. Sixers, Magic, Knicks, Pistons, Cavs for Chase. All right. That was the East. Just under an hour. Let's head over to the West.
Wow.
So this is I made a few changes in the West post my original rankings. It's not on the screen though. We can start out at the 15 seed. Jazz, we both took the under. I feel like we don't have to spend too much time here because we have the same thing.
Shocking win to open the season though. Pounded the Clippers by like 20 points.
Yeah, they were up by like 40 at one point. Like it was just a dramatic win. Upsets yesterday for sure. Like the Bulls looked really good against the Pistons, got a big win. The Knicks upset the Cavs. There were surprising ones for sure. Yeah, I mean, if the Jazz are going to be that good, then I guess we'll eat our words, but I don't think that they will be. Ace Bailey looked really good in preseason. I'm excited to see what his workload is. I think that there's a very good chance Lauri Markkanen is gone at the deadline. And if that's the case, then this is certainly an under because they're not going to be winning games without him. I think this is a fun team. Like they've got a couple players that I will be looking out for this season. I think that Walter Clayton Jr. has a good chance to win that starting point guard role at some point this season. And I still like Keontae George, and Collier is cool too. But I think Clayton has a real chance to be like a true point guard in this league. And yeah, they're starting Svi Mikhailuk at for some reason and not Ace Bailey at the 2 or Bryce Sensabaugh. I don't know why. That has to change ASAP. And the Flipkowski is cool. Taylor Hendricks coming back is going to be interesting to see how he responds to that major leg injury. Cody Williams looks like he's completely done. I think his career is basically over. I don't think he played at all yesterday, or if he did, it was like the last second of the game. In a game that they were leading by, like I said, 40 for basically the entire time. Like they were up. It was like a dramatic amount. The game was over before halftime. So the fact that your former last year first round pick at like 10 overall can't play at all, very, very, very concerning. But this is a fine team. Will Hardy's a fantastic coach, but they're not good enough to win a lot. That's all I'll say. You have anything to add, or you want to just keep it moving?
Yeah, I don't have to talk about the Jazz for very long.
Yeah, shout out Ace Bailey though. I hope he goes nuclear this year. Moving on. So the 13 and 14 we can kind of combine a little bit because we both have the Suns and Kings. You have Suns at 13, Kings at 14. I have Suns 14, Kings 13. I took the under on both. You took the over on Suns, under on Kings. So we could start in Sacramento.
Yeah. I think 34.5 for Sacramento is like ridiculously high. I think this team is horrible. And probably going to see some of these guys get moved this season again.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I really hope that they don't just stay the course and let Sabonis walk at some point and 100%.
Yeah, and the moment you sign Westbrook, that's going to guarantee you 5 or 6 losses right there. He will single-handedly lose you a handful of games. He's a horrible, horrible player that I don't know how he manages to continue finding spots in the league. But I think that kind of settled this debate for me between the Suns and the Kings. I think he's bad enough to kind of put them down there in the bottom of the West conversation. Phoenix, I don't think is actually going to be. I mean, they're going to be bad. They're going to be under 500. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I love Devin Booker as a 1. I think this is the best defense they've put around Devin Booker maybe in his entire career. Dylan Brooks, I think, is a good player. I think he's a great role player, a good shooter, great defender, one of the best wing defenders in the league. Dunn, I think, has potential to be one of the best wing defenders in the league. Grayson Allen's a good role player. O'Neal's a good role player. You have decent players here that I think, you have the Malawach, is that how you say it?
Yeah, come on, Malawach. Yep. Yeah.
Malawach pick. You have Mark Williams, who you acquired, who probably won't stay healthy this season. But I actually think they have a nice team. Obviously, they're not going to be like a playoff threat like they were when KD was healthy. But I think they're, Jalen Green is pretty bad, but we'll see how he adjusts this season. I think he could be like an okay secondary scorer for them. We'll see how it goes. I think they're definitely going to beat 30.5, finish like in that 13, that 12 spot. But I think this team's going to be better than a lot of people are expecting them to be this year.
I don't know. I considered an over here. We're going to double overtime. That's just ridiculous. Back to back double overtime games to open the season. Just
That's
ridiculous.
insane.
I hate this team, man. I hate it. So yeah, the Suns started Oso Ighodaro last night, which very, very weird to me. Why you trade? I mean, Mark Williams ended up getting more minutes, but like even Nick Richards was their third center off the bench, or second center off the bench. They didn't even play Malawach, nor did they play Rasheer Fleming, or Kobe Brea. Weird. I mean, they ended up still beating the Kings, so fair enough. Yeah, I think D-Book's just going to have a really good season if they're going to want to consistently win games.
I think he will.
You hit on like most of the points that I would mention. They've got a better team than last year, more well-rounded team for sure. I think that they filled out this roster pretty well, considering the hole that they put themselves in going into the offseason. And yeah, I think that they set themselves up well for the future. I just don't know if like they're going to be good at all this season. I mean, Dylan Brooks shot 24 shots last night. Oh my God. I didn't really tune in too much to that game because it was by far the worst on the slate. Suns Kings, like my God, I'm good. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this team's going to be that good. I'll put it at that and keep it moving. All right, 12 seed. I've got your Trailblazers, and you've got the Pelicans. So I will say
under 35.5. Wow.
This range was so tough for me. I didn't want to put the Blazers this low at all, and I feel like they're going to finish higher, but I just couldn't put a team above them, below them. I think the Grizzlies, you could argue the Blazers have a better team than the Grizzlies, but the Grizzlies just always play the regular season really hard. I feel like they come out the gates really strong usually, and they always get like more wins than expected. Even in their injured seasons, they always found ways to pull out wins consistently. I still took the Grizzlies under, but that was just to say like why I couldn't put them at the 11 over them. And I think the Pelicans are going to be a good team this year, so I had them higher as well. It's really no shade towards the Blazers. I had to take an under on some of these teams, and I think that if there is a team here on this set of 5 that I think hits an over, it's going to be them. But I don't know. I think that there's just it's kind of it's a well-rounded roster, but no real star power. That unless somebody steps up, I don't know how much I love them to hit the over. I feel like we've talked about the Blazers a decent bit throughout these pods, and I feel like I made it pretty clear that I do like this team. I love their young center rotation that they have with Klingon and Young Hansen. I've always been a Shaedon Sharpe guy. He's like always been one of my more favorite guys in the league. And I think getting Jrue Holiday is going to be a big addition for them to have some like vet presence in the front court or the back court, sorry, along with Dame coming back as well, although he's not going to play. I mean, Denny, we'll see how he can do. Like people are having him as like a breakout guy this year. I don't really think that he's going to be too much better than he was last year. I've never really been a big Denny Avdija fan though, so maybe that's my like negative bias speaking though. I love Toumani Camara again, like one of my more favorite guys in the league, but the offensive game isn't there enough to think that he's going to be the breakout guy for them. And so it kind of falls on like, can it be Scoot Henderson? And if there's a year for it to be him, like it'll be this year. We'll see how he does. He was out. I believe he was out last night, right? He's missing the beginning of the year.
Yeah, he's going to be out for the first 2 months.
Yeah, so that's really unfortunate. But that really sucks. I think that could really limit the amount that he's going to be able to take over. Shea with 48 points, by the way, 48.
Yeah, he's going to score
line.
50.
Yeah, at the line to score 49 here, and he does.
As a matter of fact,
really efficient 49 game. Yeah, I'm probably behind you. I'm watching on illegal streaming.
I think I'm ahead of you, but Shea has scored 50.
Benedict Mathurin, 36 points, has fouled out. Man, this is going to be a crazy season for the Thunder. Let's keep this moving, though. I feel like, Blazers, it's a tough tough spot to put them at. It's a really just competitive West. I think they've got a bright future. I just don't know if it's going to be this year for them to push that play-in playoff spot. But your Pelicans, why do you
Pelicans,
have
yeah. I am not very high on this team. I wasn't very high on Queen coming out of Maryland. I don't think he'll be that great of a player. Missy, I think, is fine. Zion, I don't think will stay healthy. I think that's like pretty much a guarantee at this point, even though he looks in better shape. And outside of that, like Poole, Murphy, like, I don't know. I'm just not very high on the pieces that they have in terms of making a run towards the play-in. I don't think this team will be like, they have Herb Jones as like their big defensive playmaker, and he's fantastic. But it's like, this feels like a team that'll be very average on both sides of the ball to me, and ultimately will result in them being very average record wise. I think they'll be around like high 30s wins somewhere. But full blown health, best case scenario, I could see the Pelicans making like a play in spot, getting a playoff chance. But I don't know. To me, they don't have enough talent all around for me to be convinced, given their health or their injury history, that I can put enough confidence in them to put them any higher than this.
Yeah, I've always, like, the last 2 years, I feel like I've just been really high on the Pelicans each year. So maybe I'm just kind of dying on this ship. Because there's a lot of negatives I could bring up here. Their center rotation is going to allow a ton of rebounds. We saw that last year, where they got just hosed on that side of the ball consistently. They could not crash the glass at all. The opposing center would get their season high in rebounds every game against them. They draft Derek Queen. I'm intrigued to see what he looks like this season. I really liked him coming out of Maryland. Signing Kevon Looney could help with that rebounding and interior defensive problems they have. I think Zion's going to be healthy this season. I think they, I have the Pelicans on the next one, so maybe I could talk about them now and not really talk about them later. I think Zion's going to be healthy for the first time in a long time. He lost a ton of weight. He actually looks really healthy, and he looked really dominant in preseason. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, they've been here. They're both really good. Trey Murphy could be like a breakout candidate kind of guy. He kind of was last year a little bit before he got hurt too. Jordan Poole, I think, is going to be a really great signing for them. I think his game with Kevon Looney, we saw in Golden State, very, very good game that they had, the two-man play, pick and roll game they have. But I think him and Zion's going to be a huge, really good connection too. Jose Alvarado being your best defensive guard is not great because he isn't that good, so you don't want him to play that much, but he probably is going to have to. Jordan Hawkins not getting, he's kind of fell off. That sucks to see. And Saddiq Bey looked good last night. I'll say that. I believe in this Pelicans team. I think I'm pretty sure I took the Rover. And I think that they're going to be pretty good if Zion is healthy, like he showed at the end of last season. But obviously, if he goes down, then cancel it. Season's over for them. Basketball in New Orleans is dead. But yeah, we can move on to our 11 seed. We both had the Grizzlies. I took their under. You took their over. Why did you take their over versus their under?
I think the Grizzlies will be literally dead even 500 team. John Morant is an underrated shout for the most injury-prone player in the league. He truly is in that conversation with Embiid and Zion for a player that cannot stay healthy. I think he'll get hurt at some point. That harms them. I think Bane being out is going to be a pretty big blow for their roster construction. I think there's going to be stretches of this season where Jaren Jackson's going to have to carry the offense, and I don't really trust him at all to do that. So I think this is just a straight 500 team. I could see them finishing below the Pelicans at 12. Honestly, I think I have their exact win totals 1 or 2 apart from each other. So I just think the Grizzlies are going to be very average this season.
I don't disagree. I think I took their under. I think it'll be 39, 38 wins. I could see it being 40, 41, all the same thing. This team just has not been able to stay healthy consistently. I think that Edey being down to start the season is going to really hurt them. I just don't really believe in Shaw staying healthy at this point. Like we've seen it so many years now where he hasn't. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just like Jock Landale starting center. I don't love it. Ty Jerome is already hurt. Like there's just a lot of problems going on. Scottie Pippen got hurt. Like it just kind of feels like the writing's on the wall for what's to come with this team. Yeah, all right, let's keep it moving. 10-6 range now in the West. Let's remove that. All right, moving on. So I took the over on the Pelicans. I've got the Mavericks, Spurs, Lakers, T-Wolves. We basically have the same group here, except you got Blazers, I got Pelicans here. Why do you have the Mavericks at the 10 though? Let's hear that.
I don't think their team is going to be very good without Kyrie Irving. I think Anthony Davis, we're approaching that point in his career where it might be time to start calling him a little bit washed. I think
looked like it against Wemby, man.
Yeah, he's a player who, I think honestly he's actually become a little bit of an overrated defender at this point in his career. I think a lot of people are kind of holding on to the points like back in his prime in LA where he could play any sort of pick and roll coverage. He could cover people on the perimeter up until probably like 2023. He was able to do that and, just this elite shot blocking presence. And he's still a plus defender. He's still a good defender. But, he has a lot of mental lapses. He makes a lot of mistakes on that end. He's not really an offensive engine on his own. This team is like relying on Cooper Flagg for playmaking last night. I don't think that's a good position to be putting him in. I think Flagg is just going to continue to get better and better as the season progresses. But I think this team finishes around like 42, 43 wins. I don't think they're going to be a serious threat for the playoffs. With Kyrie back, they're definitely going to be able to like compete with some of these teams. But I think, I think the trade will end up aging well because they ended up getting Cooper Flagg at the end of all of it. But Anthony Davis is just like not going to return even half the value that Luka is about to bring to the Lakers, which we saw. I mean, in their first game, he was ridiculous. But I'm not very high on the Mavericks, especially without Kyrie. I think they're going to get out to a really slow start. But I think that just puts them near the bottom of the play-in.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about because I don't have to talk about the Pelicans anymore because I already did. So I could talk about the Mavericks, where I also have them over 41.5. I have them at my 9. I think that this is like still a good team. They're really deep. They got a great front court, like depth wise and everything. Their lack of point guard play is really, really going to hurt them. Like we saw Cooper Flagg, they try to run him at point guard this game 1, and he looked what you would expect of an 18-year-old who's not a point guard starting in his first game in the NBA. He looked like an 18-year-old who's not a point guard starting in the first game of his NBA career, where he was kind of, he had 0 assists at the end of the game. And I know that's not like the end, like the end all be all. You can't tell everything from that, but like he's not a playmaker in a true point guard sense. He can play make as of like a point forward role, but not he can't like. I'd rather have D'Angelo Russell running the point guard for them, and like however else their lineup looks. But like having a true point guard out there would make Cooper Flagg's job easier. It'll make Anthony Davis's job easier. And I think it'll just make their offense as a whole more consistent. 53 for Shea, man, on basically 50% shooting, 21 free throws.
I have a field day with that.
Oh, no doubt about it. I think that this is going to be a good roster for the Mavericks. The competing is not this year for them. It's going to be in the future. It's probably post Anthony Davis, if we're being honest. And, when Kyrie's healthy, this is a good roster. I don't really expect Kyrie to – I don't really know what to expect with him coming back this season, when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, how good he's going to be if he comes back. Like, what is he, 35, 34, coming off an ACL tear? Like, it's not something that's easy to just, hop right back in and start balling instantly. And maybe there's some meshing problems that happen, when he comes back with, they've been rolling or maybe, whatever. So I feel pretty comfortable about them in this range, maybe 9 or 10. And Anthony Davis, we kind of talked about at the top of the show. He got bullied, to put it simply, against Wemby. He in every aspect. Wemby was putting Derek Lively into major foul trouble so fast. He put Anthony Davis into major foul trouble really fast. When he wasn't even just getting them to foul him, he was getting rebounds over them, dunking on them, hitting step back 3-pointers, fadeaways over him. Like he was just dominating them. And Anthony Davis looked like a child compared to Wemby. So that is kind of concerning. That made me worry a little bit that like this is supposed to be your best player and like you're leading of the team, whatever. And I get it's Wemby, but like they lost the game because of how poorly Anthony Davis played Wemby. So it's worse than moving forward. It does make me a little bit less confident on the Mavericks going forward. So I could see this being an under, but I'll whatever. Mavericks over 41.5. Who cares? But all right, moving on. Let's talk about your Blazers because I took their under. I'm sure you have a lot to say here, so let's get into it.
I saw 35.5 and my eyes popped out of my skull because I thought this was completely free as an over. I think this is a team that's going to win like mid-40s games. I think the Trailblazers are actually a really good team this year. I think we're going to have a top 3 defense in the league. I think when Scoot comes back, you have a lot of players who are able to score on offense. I think Denny Avdia is like a pretty good, like borderline all-star level player. I think he's going to be really good for us this year. I think Klingen's a defensive anchor. I don't think Hansen will play that much this season, but Kamara, I think he's going to continue to get better. I think he's one of the best defenders in the league. I think Shaedon Sharp's breakout is this season. If it happens, this will be the season we kind of see Sharp and Scoot. Like if they're going to break out, it's going to happen this year. And this team's going to be, a lot better when Damian Lillard comes back and they have a consistent source of offense. But that's a whole year away. But as far as right now, I think this defense is good enough. You have Holiday, you have Kamara, you have like all these pieces on defense where we're going to be able to win games just by suffocating teams' offenses. And, it is going to be interesting to see how Chauncey Billups getting arrested by the FBI impacts this team because – no matter how you slice it, I mean, Tiago Splitter was a complete question mark at coach, and like losing your coach to being arrested by the FBI 2 days into the season is like obviously going to shake a locker room, especially a coach that's been working with all these young players for 3 years now. So maybe
it just got extended this offseason.
Yeah, like maybe he's a little shaken from that. Maybe that causes a little bit of a spiral to start the year. Maybe we don't finish this high, but in terms of talent, I think we're right there with like these low-end play-in teams in the West. And I think when Damian Lillard comes back next year, we're talking about like a solidified playoff team. But I'm high on the Blazers. I'm excited to watch them this year. I think we played really well against the Timberwolves last night. Ended up losing because Anthony Edwards is Anthony Edwards, but I'm very confident in this team.
Yeah, those kind of games give you a lot of promise, especially like for next year, especially where. I know it was game 1 of the season, so I don't want to talk about it. Like, well, you lost game 1, your season's over. But those kind of games, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if you're the kind of team that has a lot of those kind of games where like you lose really close ones to the Timberwolves and like the Spurs and the like Pistons and whatever, and then next year is the year where like all those close losses now become like more close wins, and that's when you break out into like the 45 to 48 win range. I don't dislike the Trailblazers this year. I think that they're a good team. I think that these other teams have more star power, and when you have guys like AD and Cooper Flag and Kyrie or like Wemby and like everyone else that the Spurs have, or like LeBron and Luka, like it's tough for me to say that those teams are worse than the Blazers who don't have anybody at that level. All right, we can move along though to the Spurs. We both have at the 8th seed, 43.5. We both took the over. I really like the Spurs roster, man. I moved them. All right. So a few of them actually, I did make a couple of changes. So the Mavericks were my 8 and the Spurs were my 9. I swapped them. And I didn't originally love that. Like I did like the Spurs more. I don't know why I had the Spurs below the Mavericks, but I feel pretty confident that the Spurs are going to finish ahead of them. This Wemby breakout is happening faster and sooner than we thought, stronger than we thought. Thunder win by 6 in double overtime, where people didn't. I mean, at least I didn't think that Wemby was going to be this good, this fast, where he's like already arguably the best player in the league. Yeah, so this roster, De'Aaron Fox, who's still out right now, but he'll be back eventually. Stephon Castle, who looked really good last night. Dylan Harper, who was great in preseason, number 2 overall pick out of Rutgers. Shout out the Knights. I think that he's going to be a huge part of them, part of the team this season, and play a huge role for them moving forward. I think him and Wemby are going to be a really good duo. Like Champagny was shooting really good this summer too. I think that he's going to have a great year. And I love the Lou Cornett signing. I think that's going to be such a big signing for them. Wemby finally has another big man who can protect the paint. Wemby can roam a little bit more, and legitimately really good interior defender in Lou Cornett. So I'm really stoked about that signing. I think that the Spurs just overall killed this offseason. And I think that they're going to have a really good season. Wemby looks like he's going to be dominating every game he plays in. And if that's the case, like you just need somebody else to score like 20. You've got like a good chance to win these games. And that person can be De'Aaron Fox. It can be Castle every once in a while. It can be Dylan Harper. Like Sohan might be able to do it sometimes. Harrison Barnes will have a few games. Like they've got a good core group. And they're really young, but I don't think it really matters that much. We've seen it with the Thunder now, where like these young teams are able to be better than you think. Yeah, I like this Spurs team. I think that they'll probably be a play-in team, but I mean, I honestly think there's a chance that they finish higher than the Lakers. Like there's that Lakers
Oh yeah,
game,
100%. 100%.
that Lakers game one like really, 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 really scared me. Like they looked bad, and I didn't think that they were going to be that bad. So I don't want to overreact too much because it's game 1 out of 82, but like the Lakers, I almost want to say the Spurs are the 7th seed and the Lakers are the 8th.
I actually would flip that. And honestly,
Yeah.
I have a crazier take about the Spurs. I tweeted this out last night after the game, and I said, like, it would not shock me at all if the Spurs somehow end up with home court advantage in the NBA playoffs. There's a lot of young players on this team. There's a lot of wild cards that we don't really know how good they're going to be. There's a chance. I said this on our last NBA podcast. I think there's a chance, and I think it will happen, where Wemby's just the best player in the league at the end of the year. And to see him come out and have that game at the start is like kind of this recency bias, like, oh my God, he's already here kind of moment. And we'll have to see this pan out with a little bit more consistency. But it feels like every month that this guy's been in the league, he gets better. And we're going to be talking about, like, this is the clear best defensive player in the league. He's probably going to win Depoy if he's able. He's going to win Depoy if he's able to play 65 games. If he's able to consistently bring this style of this, like, almost Giannis style of just attacking the rim consistently on offense while being able to hit shots and handle the ball. I mean, 2K is the only place I have ever seen this happen. So I would probably move them over the Lakers if I could, like, redo this right now, just because I'm not very high on the Lakers, which we can talk about. But the Spurs, man, I think this team is going to be very competitive. And if they don't have to play the Thunder first round, a team that nobody's going to want to play early in the playoffs.
Yeah, this Spurs team is scary, man. And we'll get into the Lakers, like why neither of us are too high on them. Yeah, I almost want to say Wemby's already the best player in the league. I think there's a legitimate chance that he can win MVP this season. I don't think that it'll happen, but I think that there's a higher chance than probably most of us are wanting to accept. And yeah, man, like this Spurs team is good. I think they're going to be surprising a lot of people this season. They kind of showed it a little bit last season, but I'm excited, man. I think that they have the chance to really surprise some people. And like for a West that I feel like besides the top few teams aren't, like, I think the Timberwolves took a step back, and I think like the Rockets took a step back, and like with the Fred VanVleet injuries and stuff. What are you reacting to?
Dude, Aaron Gordon has made 6 threes in a row.
Oh, I did just see him splash like 3 in a row there. So, dude, but I didn't. Yeah, that's crazy.
Aaron Gordon has 22 points. He's 6 for 6 from 3.
If Aaron Gordon has a 3-point, like another breakout in him where he elevates to like 45%, then like they're smashing their over.
Bro, this is like an insane, like I've never seen this type of 3-point leap in one season before in my life.
Yeah, no,
like 2 years ago he couldn't shoot.
No, yeah, he was like a 30% shooter, and now he is a 40% shooter. I mean, his jumper has changed. He just hit another one. Like his jumper has changed. That might have been the sixth one, but I'm probably behind you. But yeah,
Probably
Aaron Gordon's a
behind me.
beast. The 26, yeah, 22.6 for 6 from 3. That's just ridiculous. Nothing Curry can do here. Yeah, we'll get to the Nuggets in a minute here. Let's keep it moving along. So Lakers, we both have them out to 7. I honestly I want to switch it to the 8. I'll
I
leave it at
agree.
7 for the graphic sense. So I don't have to make a new picture. But yeah, we both want to say like Lakers at 7 or 8, Spurs at 7. We both took the under of 46.5. And I feel more confident about this now than I would lock this.
Yeah, 100%.
They looked awful in that first game. Luka. I saw a stat. I think I bookmarked it on Twitter because I wanted to bring it up of just how insane it was. Um,
Dude, Gordon
please
made
tell me.
another one.
Please tell me I did. Oh, I must have not. That's unfortunate. Basically, yeah, he did. That is crazy. Basically, the stat said
Bro.
of their like they scored like 108, 110 points, something like that. I think Luca and Austin Reeves were either assisted or scored on like 90 something of those points. Um, and at halftime, Luca scored on or assisted on like 50 of their 60 points or something along those lines, like 55 of their 60 or something like that.
Mhm.
45 of their 50, whatever, So like this is just the Luca show. We knew this going into the season, but like the fact that it is to this extent is ridiculous. Like if Austin Reeves has a bad game, they're basically guaranteed to lose because Luca then has to just 1v5 the opposing team. DeAndre Ayton's already unplayable. We already know with Lakers fans how this happens with Russ and it happens with. I mean, there's 15 players. Anthony Davis that's happened to. Like, there's so many players you can name that like it's just like scapegoat, scapegoat, scapegoat. And it's gonna be DeAndre Ayton. You people are already
Oh yeah.
saying the most heinous things. Yeah, this is. It was. I thought it was going to be a good signing. I really thought he was going to be able to rim run really well for them, like be a great lob threat for Luca. Like this was the golden opportunity for him to hit a resurgence in his career again, where he broke out before and then he fell off of the Blazers, and I thought he was going to, and not at all, man, not at all. I pray for JJ Redick because I know that he's like crying into his pillow at night, not having a center that is like he's scared to make contact on screens. He won't even roll after he hits the screen. I mean, yeah, he sucks, and the rest of this roster isn't great. I thought Jake LaRavia was going to be a great signing, or like just a good signing for them. I don't really remember anything that he did in the loss of the Warriors last night. I felt like he was just like whatever. Yeah, and for as long as LeBron is out, yikes, this team might not win a lot of games unless they play the
Even
Jazz a
when
lot. Like,
LeBron comes back, man, I don't think this team is going to be very good. I think LeBron is done.
yeah, but I think it's just like having another player who is able to score and b able to pass. Like that is the baseline we're talking about here. And LeBron can do those things, not at the most elite level anymore. His defense has obviously gone away too. Like I don't even expect LeBron to like. He's not going to make All NBA this season. He's not going to be eligible for any awards because I don't think he's playing 65 or even going to come close to it. I think he probably ends up playing like 40. But like, yeah, honestly, this is I'm like convincing myself to move the Lakers so far down right now, like 9, 10. Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
with Luca, especially like Luca,
I don't know,
it's
man.
nice to
I don't
see.
know. I
It's
know what
nice
you're.
to see
Yeah, go on.
with him back, like him playing well again and looking in shape and like looking like the Luca we saw in his years in Dallas again. But
Yeah,
um, I think he's good enough to 100% get this team into the playoffs, especially if LeBron's back. Like, yes, they're going to be bad by like Western Conference standards, which is pretty
mhm.
high. But I expect this team to get in as the 8th seed and probably get completely smacked by the Thunder in the first round. But
Yeah. Oh my God,
this team just doesn't have a
they
defense.
would
They
get
don't.
rolled.
It's the straight up Luca show, and it's gonna be entertaining as hell. Like this guy is right back to where he was. It seems like, and I'm starting to get used to him in a Laker jersey, and it's like gonna be the biggest show in basketball during the regular season for the next 10 years. But as far as how good their team's actually going to be, I think after this year, the LeBron in LA is done. either he's going to retire or he's like they're going to trade him.
Yeah,
Like
makes one last stop.
they're going to
before he
come to some
retires.
agreement. Yeah, like it's going to be over after this, and I think after that you can kind of get that cap space back and start to rebuild a team that fits Luka a little bit more, rather than making these desperate attempts at guys like DeAndre and that are never actually going to help you win games. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see the Lakers a few years down the road. This season, though, I'm just going to enjoy the Luka constant 40, 50-point games and accept the fact that the team is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, Luka probably is going to end up being the scoring champ or come close to it. And yeah, he's got. I mean, it's Luka. It's like always a fun watch. He's going to be just ridiculous this season, but the rest of the team is so bad. They've got a ton of cap space in 2027. They're really setting themselves up for that free agency, which is going to be like a hopefully a really big one. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get some big name there. Yeah, LeBron. I mean, we saw it last year. We even saw it the year before that. His career is heavily down, like it is on the down spiral, and it this year just like it's not going to be his year, to put it simply. Lakers aren't going to be that good. I don't really have anything else to say. No, but I do want to add. We saw a few years ago. I mean, Luka probably you could argue wasn't as good back then, but when he was on the Mavericks and they had like not great rosters, they weren't winning a ton anyways. Like they were barely making the playoffs if they were. So
yeah,
like if this roster is similar to those Mavericks teams, like not good, even if Luka is better, is he that much better where he elevates them to like an extra like 8 to 10 wins than those Mavericks teams? Maybe not. Like this literally might be like a 38-39 win team.
I think he is, bro. I think Luka's that good. We're talking about like
I'm not saying he's not. I'm like, you know, he is fantastic. It's just like I don't know.
If you're asking if he can add like 8 wins to this Lakers team, I think 100% he could do that.
Oh,
to get them
yeah. He himself can, but it's just like, is their baseline higher than those previous Mavericks teams? Like, I feel like it's pretty similar. And
yeah, no, it's definitely well, I agree with that. I think they are like an 8 seed team, but I think honestly, a lot of these teams, other than that, like I think they'll 100% be better than the Mavericks. They'll 100% be better than the Blazers, the Pelicans, the like all these teams that we have below them. I think it's a very clear line where you're like, okay, this is the line, and like maybe the Mavericks with Kyrie back are the only team below it that can compete to get in there. But I think the Lakers will definitely be a playoff team. They're just not going to be a very long stay.
Yeah, that's fair. And if they make the play-in, I would have them winning a play-in game and making the playoffs because Luka in a one elimination game, it's not many players that are going to be able to be better. But yeah, it's still don't love the situation. Whatever, let's keep it moving. 6 seed, we both have the Timberwolves. We both take the under. For mine, it's 49.9. For yours, it's 49.5. That's another typo by me. But yeah, under on the Timberwolves. I think that this team is worse than it was last year in multiple different aspects. So to start off, I think the center rotation is like it's the same as it was in the past, except Cat is gone now. But it's different in the sense that I think Rudy Gobert is getting worse. His offensive game is just like falling off more and more and more every year. And I think it's going to be a big role for Naz Reid to step up more this year than he has in the past. They made the change. They announced it right before yesterday's game that Dante DiVincenzo will be their starting point guard this season with Mike Conley as their sixth man, or like just coming off the bench, which I loved so much. I think that is going to that genuinely changes their ceiling like a decent bit, where Mike Conley is not as good of a playmaker and is not as good of a scorer as Dante DiVincenzo is at this point. Obviously, he used to be legendary player, but he's really old at this point. He's fallen off. I think DiVincenzo is going to be able to be a better ball handler for them. And I think Mike Conley coming off the bench is like that is the perfect role for him at this point in his career. He could be a great veteran bench point guard. And it is really going to be able to lead a second unit well, especially a second unit that isn't particularly great for the Timberwolves team. Like Jalen Clark is going to be playing a big role. Terrence Shannon Jr. they're really going to be relying on. Pretty sure Rob Dillingham didn't play at all yesterday, so I don't really know what's happening there. But yeah, I don't love this team as much as I did last year. That's why I have them at the 6th seed. Were they the 6th seed last year? I think were they the 5th seed?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
6 seed.
6 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
played the Lakers.
I guess I have them staying the same, but I just don't love this team. I could honestly see the Spurs finishing ahead of them. I think it would take. Yeah, like I think it's. I don't know, man. I mean, like I want to see a few more Wemby games before I really dive into how far like high up I have the Spurs. Because I mean, if he's playing at like the level we saw in Game 1 for this whole season, which I don't see why he wouldn't. Like I mean, obviously I'm not expecting him to score 40 every night, but you know what I'm saying. Like if he is that skilled level, I think he could carry this team to be a top 5 seed. But and like you were saying, they might have home court advantage, which that would be just ridiculously bonkers. But yeah, I really don't love this Timberwolves team. I mean, Julius Randle like coming back, like he's good, but it's just like this isn't that good of a team, and it's really going to be coming down to Anthony Edwards like carrying them as much as he can. It's a little bit similar to the Lakers, but like the Timberwolves are a better roster.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself while looking at this and thinking about the Timberwolves roster, like what really makes them better than the Spurs? It just feels like every year the Timberwolves come into the season with a team that isn't that great, and somehow Anthony Edwards is able to just be that good to get them to a higher level. So I think I'm going to stick with the Timberwolves at 6 here for now. I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs leap them. There's a lot of teams. There's like you could name like 3-4 teams above the Spurs right now that I have that I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being better than. But the Timberwolves, it's going to come down to Anthony Edwards. I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation this year. I think he'll finish as a finalist for the MVP award, and I think he'll be all NBA first team. I think we're going to see his first 30-point per game season of his career. You know, he's like, I saw someone compare him to the Taskmaster, where he just like every player he plays against or plays with, he takes their best move and adds it to his bag. I think that's 100% true. Like he's constantly learning, constantly working, and I think he's just getting better and better every single year, and to the point where I don't know how much better he can get, because I mean the only things he really has left to work on are playmaking and efficiency, and I think he was excellent against the Blazers and the efficiency aspect. And you know, he tried to be a playmaker, but none of their guys could hit shots, so he said, screw it, I'm going to score 40.
So I feel like he showed good playmaking last season. Like he showed that he could be a point guard for this team.
I think, and that's probably what he's going to have to do if this team wants to get into that Western Conference Finals conversation again, which I think is unrealistic given how much better the Nuggets are this year, that they're going to be positioned higher in the standings. I think it's going to be a very interesting season team wise, but Anthony Edwards is going to be one of the best players to watch in basketball this year. I mean, every single game that I get a chance to watch him, I'm going to be taking that chance. One of the most exciting players in the league.
Yeah. And, you know, the West is so good. This is a team that I really could see losing in the first round. And I took them to beat the Lakers last year. I did. Wait, right? Did I? I honestly, I don't even remember. I think we both took the Timberwolves. I don't remember though. But it doesn't matter. That was like our 4-hour podcast we did. That was a funny one. But yeah, we can, you know, so to summarize what we had here, I had Pelicans over at the 10, Mavericks over, Spurs over, Lakers under, Timberwolves under. You had Mavs over, Blazers over, Spurs over, Lakers under, Timberwolves under for our 10 through 6. Yeah, Timberwolves, I could see them losing the first round, maybe losing the second round, but they're not getting past the second for sure. Moving along to our last set of 5 teams in the Western Conference or in the NBA, and then we have our entire standings done, and our over/under record predictions. Is our 1 through 5 for the West. These are the teams with home court advantage plus 1 non-home court advantage. And starting at the 5 seed. So I have the Warriors going over 48.5. You had the Rockets falling from the 2 all the way down to the 5, under 52.5. I can assume that's because of the Fred VanVleet injury, but you know, what else is causing you to have the Rockets this far down?
It pretty much just is the Fred VanVleet injury. I think like that loss of a playmaker leaves a gap on their team where like you're asking a lot of players to step up and chip in areas where I don't think they're that good. Kevin Durant as a ball handler at this point in his career is like completely just chalked. Like that can't be a thing that's happening anymore. he's still a great scorer. I think Kevin Durant does take another step back this year in terms of like how good of a player he is and where people are ranking him, whatever. But
Mm.
Amen Thompson, I think he's going to be a great finisher. I think if he's trying to shoot, it's going to end very poorly. I still think he's a horrible shooter. And I think a lot of these players need to stop getting so fixated on, I have to add a jumper to my game. I think Amen's game is perfect in the mid-range to painted area. I think he could be a great player in that area. I just don't know if he can be a lead ball handler. I don't really trust that. Şengün looked great. I don't know how real that was, but I'm not really going to buy into like a huge Şengün lead. Season opener tax, like all these things. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they finish even lower than this, but because of how good they were last year, I do expect them to finish in that top 6. I honestly think they're losing in the first round of the playoffs. Unless Van Vliet's I don't think Van Vliet's coming back at any point this season. I think with Van Vliet, this team would have been a very easy 3 for me. But without him, I think he was like a very underrated, very important piece for them.
Yeah, I said it on one of the last few pods that Van Vliet for me is probably the most important non-All-Star in the NBA. It's either him or Jamal Murray. To like, them going down ruins your team's ceiling kind of guys. I mean, yeah, we saw it in game 1 against the Thunder. Their offense is so ugly. I mean, they're running the tallest lineup of all time, and it kind of shows. They don't have guys who can hit shots consistently. It really comes down to like, 3 seconds left on the shot clock, get the ball to KD or like get the ball to Jabari Smith Jr. I think Amen shot like 7 threes. And I saw somebody on the timeline saying he had like 11 turnovers in the game. And then people were like, what do you mean? You only had 4. And it's like, well, he shot 7 threes. So you combine that with the turnovers, it's basically 11. I think he did hit one. And then he basically hit another one, but his toe was on the line. So like maybe his shot is starting to get there. But I kind of agree. Like imagine if Giannis just started spamming threes. And like he never developed the mid-range game because he instead tried to develop a 3 game. Like Amen should take the Giannis route and just get a good mid-range. Giannis is one of the better mid-rangers in the NBA now, like one of the best, honestly. And it's such a massive part of his game. If Amen can develop a turnaround mid-range, like just pull up mid-range game like that, or even to some degree, like he could be one of the most dangerous players in the NBA. And he kind of already is. Like that would just put him it would take another leap for him.
Yeah, that's all he needs. Like,
yeah,
you're that athletic, you're that explosive, you're that good of a finisher. All you need is to be able to pull defenders out and get all you need is a half second on these defenders. And with his athleticism, he will be able to get to the rim at will if he has a mid-range game. So I think he works on that. We're talking about this guy can be a true number 1.
Yeah, and I mean we're seeing it like in this Thunder game, we saw it last year too, where teams would leave you open, but with him, you can't. Leaving him open is different than like another non-shooter on another team. Like the way somebody leaves Hartenstein open, let's say. Like you're going to leave Hartenstein open and literally leave him 10 feet away because you don't care about him at all. Whereas Amen, you almost still have to guard him because if you let him get at 1 step of steam going towards the rim, it's done. Unless you have Wemby or Chet on your team, you're going to get dunked on. So you actually still have to guard him to not let him get any sort of speed going towards the rim. It's a very different dynamic, and it's why he's such a polarizing player. I feel like he's just very unique. He's a very fun player, and I hope that he can develop some sort of mid-range game and it's kind of a better playmaking. Need to be a better playmaker this season, because Reed Sheppard, he's not it.
Horrible.
We'll say that. We'll say that, man.
Horrible.
Reed Sheppard is not it. And you see my rankings here. I have the Rockets at 3. I originally had the Clippers at 3 and I switched it. I do regret that. I want to have the Clippers at 3 this whole time. I think the Clippers can be a really good team this year, and we'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. But Reed Sheppard, he got hunted like some of the most I've ever seen on defense. Every single possession, the Thunder was getting him in rotation, awful. Getting him on the switch, and just blitzing him instantly. Just a simple shoulder bump, he would go flying from anybody. So the defense is not there at all. The offense was not there in game 1 at all. The passing was poor. The shot, the shot creation was poor. The shot attempts that he was just taking were not good. It was a lot of deep threes and contested threes and contested layups. I did not see an NBA player when I was watching him in that game. and it's game one of his career, basically. Like, this is his first game where he's coming in. He knows that he's actually going to be playing in, so we'll see what comes with him. But game one of the season did not make me feel good about it at all. Yeah, I'm putting the Rockets at 4. I'm 100%. Clippers are my 3. But we can. Oh, I'll talk about the Warriors a little bit here. I had the Warriors at my 5 over 48.5. This is a really good team. I mean, they look like they kind of just dismantled the Lakers a little bit. They've got like a better overall roster than I feel like they've had in the last few years, with a full year of Jimmy Butler. Getting to see like a whole year of this Jimmy and Steph game is going to be really fun. And hopefully that this roster can stay healthy this year, because they could truly compete in the West. I think like when Curry's hot, like there's not really any team that they can't beat. They could even upset the Thunder, maybe not in a series, but like in a couple games with some hot Steph games. It's a pretty similar roster from last year. I mean, they add Al Horford, which is a cool addition for them, to getting a legitimate popping center. I mean, it's just like it's the unction. They got a lot of really old guys. I wouldn't be surprised if Kuminga is. Well, no, because he got a 2-year deal, didn't he? So he's not going to get traded.
They might trade him still.
I mean, they
think he took the deal so that he could potentially get traded. But he's played really well for them through these first 2 games, and he played well at the playoffs last year. So
I really think that he's going to be a vital part of this team, and I think he's going to like break out this season, getting to play with a whole season of Jimmy and Steph. Like it takes so much pressure off Kuminga. I think it's a good signing, and then Buddy Hield's been great. He was great in that first game for them, and I think he'll just have a good season. I know it's the Buddy Hield cycle where like he always starts out hot and then he sucks and people blame him and he gets traded and whatever. But if there is a team for that to not happen on, it is the Warriors, where like he is set up in the most perfect situation that any shooter could possibly be in, and especially a shooter as good as he is. I like this Warriors team. They were really competitive in the second half of last season, and I don't really see why that wouldn't continue to be the case.
Yeah, I love this Warriors team. I think they're really good. I think after the All-Star break last year, they were the second best team in the West, and I think they would have beat the Timberwolves if Curry had stayed healthy. I think they would have met the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. So I think this is a better version of that team. I think they have more cohesion.
That would have felt so good to beat Curry in the Western Conference Finals after he beat us 10 years ago, but whatever.
And
maybe this year.
I would say you get a chance this year. It's probably not going to happen. I don't see this team beating the Nuggets, but they could 100% compete with the Nuggets. They're competing with them right now, despite Aaron Gordon lighting it up from 3. But like Draymond, I feel like this dude could be a top 10 defender in the league until he's 50. I mean, he just he's just so smart defensively, such a good communicator. Just really, really good for on-court chemistry defensively. And Jimmy Butler, I think his personality mixes in really well with the guys they already have. I do think he's a little overrated at this point in his career, but he doesn't have to be that Jimmy Butler that people imagine when they talk about Jimmy Butler to be very valuable asset to a potentially championship team or a team that wants to win a championship. Curry, he's still Steph Curry. Again, he's getting a little bit worse, but he's still 100% good enough to be the one on a contender. Pods is going to be better. If Kuminga takes a leap, this team is like really, really a contender. I like their depth.
A Kuminga leap doesn't even have to necessarily entail like borderline all-star. Like he can literally just go from, I mean, let me pull it up really fast, like what he averaged last season. And if he's just like slightly more, like last season, 15 points per game. I mean, there was even a dip from 16 the year before on like 45-30%. If he could shoot higher, if he could shoot like near 35% from 3 like he did early on in his career, he shot 37 in his second season, and shoot like 50% and not 45 and average 17-18 points. Like that is like having a third star who could score 17-18 points and a somewhat like reliable like consistency. They really could. You have them at the 3 seed, and they could be that high.
100%. I think last year you saw like the big issue the Warriors had in the first half of the season when they were 500 is they couldn't win a close game. They added Jimmy Butler, and now they can't lose close games. So you turn those close to losses that they had into wins last year, they probably would have been like the 2 seed in the West.
Yeah.
with,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
who would have thought adding one of the best closers of all time to a team that can't close would change that situation around?
yeah, I mean they almost beat the Rockets. Or no, they did beat the Rockets, and they would have beat the
Yeah.
Timberwolves if it weren't for Curry going
Steph
down
getting
the
hurt.
back
Yeah.
end. So
Man, that Rocket series was
um,
so fun.
yeah,
Um,
it's a great team, and I'm very high on them, and I'm very excited to watch them play this year. Because the only reason the Clippers and the Warriors are very close for me, I just trust the consistency and the players on the Warriors, like the experience, the consistency, and the the health of the Warriors more than I trust the Clippers.
that's
I
fair.
think the
That's fair.
Clippers could be a lot more volatile when it comes to that.
So, all right, we can move along to both of our 4 seeds. I guess the Clippers are going to be my 3, but here it says they're my 4. For some reason, they are also at 0.9 wins and not 0.5, but it's fine. Maybe they get that half win and it still hits the under. So we both took the over of 49.5. I think that this Clippers team, like, I mean, last year I was the opposite. I think I had them as my 13 seed or 12. It was one of the two. And I was obviously so wrong. You know, you can't bet against regular season James Harden. You can't bet against regular season Ty Lue. And I've learned my lesson, and I'm not going to do it again. I'm going on the complete opposite of what I said last year, where I think this Clippers team is going to be really good. They probably had my favorite offseason out of any team in the league, adding, I mean, John Collins, Brooke Lopez, Chris Paul, who else did they get? Bradley Beal. This is a complete roster overhaul. And I think that like they're swapping Bradley Beal for Norman Powell for Bradley Beal is going to be a decrease, but it's not going to be such a drastic change because you got John Collins coming off the bench, who I'll going to bring him up later. I think he's going to have a really, really good season. I think Harden's going to have a great year. A healthy Kawhi day one, we haven't talked about in like 5 years. I think that's going to be huge for them. Like Zubac had his best career season last year. He's gotten better every single season, and he's still one of the best interior defenders in the league. I think that getting Brooke Lopez as a backup big, that was their biggest problem last year, where Zoo had to play like 40 something minutes in a playoff game, had to match Jokic every single second that he played, and now you have another capable backup big. Like this is. They hit on every single transaction they made this offseason. And yeah, I'm really high on this Clippers team. I think that they could be the 3 seed. That's where I have them. And yeah, how do you feel about this team?
Yeah, I really loved their offseason as well. I think we both graded it out as an A+ while it was happening. A lot of good depth pieces were added. Beal, Collins, Lopez, and like you said, Kawhi is going to be healthy to start the season for the first time in forever. Now, who knows what's going on with the whole tree thing or if that's ever going to get looked into. It seems like Adam Silver doesn't really care too much about cheating with money in his league. So I guess that probably won't end up being an issue. If Kawhi stays healthy, wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers finish close to the Nuggets in terms of wins. This is a lot of talent on this roster.
Keep going.
A lot of skill both sides of the court. You got players on offense. You got Zubac who can score down low. You got Kawhi who can take the ball off the dribble, score in the mid-range out at the three-point area. James Harden can initiate offense. They got guys who can space the floor. They got guys who can handle the ball. They can attack you from multiple different angles in multiple different ways. And with the depth, I think this is a Clippers team that 100% could be, contending for a championship at the end of the year if the cards fall in their favor. But it has seemed throughout history that the Los Angeles Clippers never have had the cards fall in their favor. So something bad will happen because it always happens to them.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, moving. Oh, don't know when Chase left, but it's okay. Moving on along. So I'm sure that he closed out pretty well there on the Clippers. Like, I basically hit on all the points that I really wanted to hit on. It's just that healthy Kawhi day one, healthy James Harden, good coaching, better depth than before. I think that this is a true contender. Even if they don't seem like they're on the Thunder or the Nuggets level. And I thought that last year was the Clippers' best chance. I said that multiple times, that this was going to be their best chance at the finals. This was their last best chance, whatever. And they proved me wrong. This is a team that, I just said that last year. I said that last year was going to be the last best chance for this Clippers team to contend. And I'm wrong about that. I think that they, reset their clock for another year or two with all the moves they made. And I think that they're a true contender in the West 100%. I'm assuming that you touched on all the points on the Clippers that you wanted to.
Yeah.
So we can move along to the Nuggets, who we both have the 2 seed. We both have their over of 53.5. Why do you say Nuggets 2 seed?
I think this team could, it's either this team or the Thunder. These two teams are going to meet in the Western Conference Finals, and whoever wins is going to win the championship. They add Cam Johnson. Aaron Gordon is just continuing to look insane. He's got a little bit of his own. He can self-create now, which is ridiculous. Continues to get better every year. Truly just an abnormality when it comes to development this late in his career.
He just swatted the hell out of Steph and then goes up for a pull-up 3 and splashes it on the other end. Aaron Gordon yes.
Yeah.
Dude, if we looked at 5 years ago, the player that was on the Magic to today, the player that is on the Nuggets, they are genuinely different humans, not only by the way that they look, but the way that they play basketball. They are fully different players. It is fascinating how different he's been able to change his game.
Never seen this is the most outlier mid-late career development I've ever seen from a player in my life. I mean, this is a guy who was being left wide open in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't really in Orlando. He wasn't really that great of a defender. He was a very average defender. Really was just an athlete that has now turned into this 5-tool, multi-skilled, self-creating league leader in 3-point percentage stud who is honestly, in terms of value, this is an all-star level player in terms of value to the Nuggets. He is the main reason, well, not the main reason, but one of the main reasons that they were able to compete with the Thunder in the playoffs, and one of the main reasons why they'll be competitive with them again. Christian Brown is really good. Jamal Murray is good. Jokic is the best player in the world, one of the best offensive players ever. This team could very easily win the championship. The team could very easily beat the Thunder, and I honestly think it's a coin toss for me if these two teams meet in the Western Conference Finals.
I believe the championship winner is coming out of the West this season, and I don't. I'll spoil it now. I don't believe it's going to be the Nuggets, but I think the Nuggets are clearly the second best team in the West. The Rockets they made it interesting before the Fred VanVleet injury. But I feel pretty comfortable taking the Nuggets, and I feel very comfortable taking their over. It's only a 3.5 game increase from last year, but their team is better, and I think the West got worse. Maybe the West is more competitive than last year because more teams are entering that conversation, like the Spurs and the Blazers a little bit, the Mavericks. I think that it's more top heavy now than it was before. And I think I think the Thunder are going to break the win record or come very close to it this season. And I think you have the Nuggets going to be borderline 60-win team, close to it as well. I think this West is going to look. I was looking at the 2016 West when I was making my standings, because I think that this current year looks very similar to how the West looked at that point, where you have the really good Warriors and the really good Spurs, and then you've got just a ton of teams who are all going to be at or right above 500, and that's kind of how I base my rankings a little bit. I think this Nuggets team, I think that they hit 57 wins. I'll say that. If it was 55.5, I would have taken the over too. You kind of touch on most of the points though. This Nuggets team is pretty similar to last year, except Cam Johnson's here now, and I Haven't really gotten to watch pay attention too closely to this game, so I don't really know how he's been looking. But I think that's going to be a big signing for them. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is big. Bruce Brown they got back is big. Valanciunas, like they finally have a real backup center. Jalen Pickett might have a bigger role this season too. Like they've got a lot of good pieces here, and they're a true contender, no doubt about it. They could be in the finals once again, no doubt. But let's finish finish the West out here. We both have the Thunder taking the over of 62.5. I'll start it out and just fill in the gaps. I think that it's a pretty similar team to last year. They didn't really make any major changes this offseason. It was a pretty quiet one for them because coming off the finals run, really the biggest importance for them was just locking in their guys. They extend J-Dub, they extend Chet. I don't really remember who else. During last season, like Isaiah Joe and A Wiggs, like they all got contract extensions too. So they're pretty locked in here. Besides IHart, who's going to be gone this offseason, which I'm fine with because he hasn't. I don't love him, to be honest. But this is still a really good team. AJ Mitchell looks like he's going to be breaking out this season. He's had back-to-back really good games so far to open up this season. I really loved him last season. I thought that he was a major part of this team, and he's showing that he's going to just continue right into the season. Right, same exact thing. The Thunder's biggest need this season going into this year after last year was the backup point guard position. Their backup ball handler was just Cason Wallace isn't a great backup ball handler. And they needed Shea to play a ton of minutes. And so AJ Mitchell being that is going to be huge for them. I'm really interested to see what Nikola Topic looks like this season, how much he's able to compete for that role. But I think it's going to be ending up being AJ Mitchell. They dealt with a ton of injuries already, and they've played back-to-back double overtime wins, and they've won them both. So I feel like that shows me a lot that Shea's going to be consistently still that guy in the clutch, and they're going to be able to rely on him, but still go to other guys too, like they have been. And they're winning these games without J-Dub, without Aaron Wiggins, without Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace missed tonight, like Caruso missed tonight with concussion. Like they've got a ton of injuries, and they're still winning these games. I don't see why they won't repeat. The only way they don't repeat is if Shea gets hurt. Like I think Chet could get hurt, Lou Dort could get hurt, J-Dub could get hurt. It won't matter. As long as Shea's healthy, this team will be the 1 seed. And yeah, competing for the championship. You're muted.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that they've muscled their way through 2 double overtime games against good teams so far without J-Dub, who I'll say I think J-Dub's like top 15 player in the league, just outside that top 10 player in the league. Like this guy is just a special player, and he's going to be better this year. Chet's going to be better this year. Like you said, if they approach the win record, not going to be super shocked. I don't think they will. I think they're going to prioritize probably rest a little bit more than they will chasing that record, because we saw how the Warriors, after they had their big 67-win season in 2015 and won the championship, how they came back the next year and chased down the win record, won 73 games, and then all their guys were like just running out of gas and they were hurt at the end of the year. I think there's something to learn from that. I think there is something to take from that the Thunder, I think, will. And I think they'll end up repeating as champions because of it. I do still think they'll finish in like the high 60s, like flirting with 70. But just like winning that many games, especially in a league that has so much more parity than it did back then, is very difficult, and honestly not even worth it when you're trying to just make it through the regular season to get to the games that really matter. So yeah, Shea, like we'll talk about awards, but this team is
he will be mentioned,
comfortably going to finish on top of the West.
Yeah, I think the win record is in play, but the back-to-back double overtime games doesn't make me feel too confident. But again, like I really do have to keep remembering that like your second best player being out, and then like all of your bench is like, they're Brooks Barnhizer and Ousmane Dieng were playing like major first quarter minutes which that's a rookie second rounder and a guy who's like never been able to consistently play at all. I don't know. This Thunder team's really, really good though. And I think they're going to end up repeating. Like I think the sky's the limit for this team. And I really think they are a true dynasty. And Chet, the offensive breakout is going to be here this year. I mean, we saw it in game one. He looked amazing. He missed 50 games last year, and he was awesome before he got hurt with a broken hip. Like, that is an injury that is truly going to derail your season and can derail a career. So for him to be able to bounce back from that with the frame that he has, like, he's very impressive. Wow, Curry's crazy. Um, and I'm just a big fan of this team moving forward. All right, to summarize all the standings, we had Jazz, Suns, Kings, Blazers, Grizzlies for the 15 through 11 for me. Jazz, Kings, Suns, Pelicans, Grizzlies for Chase. And the 10 to 6, I had Pelicans, Mavs, Spurs, Lakers, T Wolves. You had Mavs, Trailblazers, Spurs, Lakers, Timberwolves. And then the 5 to 1, I had Warriors, Rockets, Clippers, Nuggets, Thunder. You had Rockets, Clippers, Warriors, Nuggets, Thunder. Here is let me oh wait, I have to 1 second. 1 second. I can just show all of them at once because I made that. Wait. Boom. Here's all the standings for those that want to just look at that instead. We can get into awards though, right? I'm ready to just head right on to that.
Let's do it.
So no All NBA, but MVP, Depoy, Most Improved, Sixth Man, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, and Clutch Player of the Year. We're going through them all. So we'll start at MVP. We both have the same pick here. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
The free throw merchant, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, him dropping 55, a new career high in the second game of the season, is a very good sign for what's to come this season. Especially for the games that J-Dubs misses, it's only going to increase his case. If they push the win record or break it or come close, like, it's just another thing that's going to be a good like feather in the cap for them. This is just going to be a better defense than the Nugget. Like, I think it's going to come down to him and Jokic. I think Wemby is going to be in the conversation. I think Luka is going to be in the conversation. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be in the conversation. And you can make a great case for Luka, I feel, where it's like, especially for him, it's like, if he's not here, this is like a 10-win team. So, there's that. But they're going to end up winning like 44 games. If that, it's going to be tough to say like a team with 20 fewer wins than the Thunder deserve an MVP.
Yeah.
And we saw Shai's, like, the value that he brought last season, the second highest net rating of all time for this team. Like, the ability to be a two-way player. He got some defensive player of the year and all defensive team votes. Like, this is a guy that is just more value on both sides of the ball than Jokic is going to bring, or Luka, or Anthony Edwards. The ability to be like a true leader in the clutch and a good passer, playmaker, like just maybe the best scorer in the NBA. I would say he is.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
He's like the efficiency. Like, there's just so many things you could point to. There's not really one thing that brings him to be an MVP. It's not like Curry, where it's like the shooting is just so overwhelming, or Jokic, where it's just like the overall offense. Shai just kind of has a bit of everything in his game, and I feel like I think he's just gonna have a ridiculous season. And if they reach the team that reaches the heights that I think they will, like, best defense in the league, and they should be a better offense than they were last year, and they were still like a top offense, along with being potentially like a top winning team of all time again. I think that he's going to have a better season than he did last year, and if that's the case, then I don't see why he wouldn't win the MVP.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there. I honestly have no problem saying it. Shai is one of the five best point guards ever, I think.
Already, yeah.
I mean, outside of Curry, the best point guard I think I've ever watched in my life. And I've got no problem saying that this early in his career. Just a special scorer, a skill set that just excuse me, a skill set that just continues to get deeper and deeper as the years go on. And he's going to go out average 33, 34, who knows how many points this year. And, people will complain and bitch about it for the entire season. But the reality is, when everybody looks back at this, we'll have to accept that this is one of the best peaks by a point guard in the history of basketball. And I think he'll be rewarded for it with a second straight MVP. I mean, I can't think of, outside of Jokic, who else is going to entertain this MVP conversation too seriously this year? I don't think the Spurs, the Lakers will be good enough. I don't think the Timberwolves will be good enough for them to have, for their guys to have serious cases.
I think that
it's going to be Shea.
I think there's going to be valid cases in the sense of like player to player, not even looking at their teams, but like Wemby will have a valid case. If you're only looking at like Shea compared to Wemby or Jokic compared to Wemby or whatever, but like I said about Luka, being 20 wins less than the Thunder will have, like the only reason the Nuggets are going to be in the conversation or for Jokic is just because they're going to be like 10 or so wins, which is better than 20. And also Jokic is going to be, I mean, he was top 3 in points, assists, and rebounds, the first player to ever do that. Wemby will be top 3 in points, rebounds, and blocks, which is like, and he's going to lead 2 of those. But like the wins are going to be so drastically different that he's not going to be able to have a strong enough case. I think Shea wins it here, though. I don't really know what else to say. Like, I mean, like you said, people are going to whine and all that stuff, but like he just knows how to maneuver his body and manipulate yours to get his way every time he goes down the floor. There's honestly not a player in the league and borderline ever outside of like 2018 LeBron that I feel like when they have the ball in their hands, I just trust them like to do anything. Like any shot that he's going to get up, I'm going to feel like, okay, like that's fine. You can hit that shot. I mean, I guess like 2016 Curry's up there too.
But 2016 Curry is definitely the peak of when he has the ball. I think it's over. But
you think so? You think more than LeBron? I don't know. That 2018 LeBron,
dude,
I don't
peak
know.
Curry used to like literally scare me to my core as a Blazers fan. Like if we were playing him and he was shooting, it was over.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably like blocking out the worst memories like from my sports childhood because the Thunder just got ended by Curry so many times. Warriors take the lead in the third quarter. Yeah, I guess it is. It might be Curry, but whatever. So we both have Shea MVP. Do you have anything else that you want to add on for this?
No.
Yeah, I think he goes back to back and has a Jordan level peak. All right, moving on to our defensive player of the year. We both have the alien, the god himself, the second coming of Christ, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, it's just we saw it in game 1. Like there's nothing. I mean, he's hitting. This is a defensive player of the year award, not even offensive, but like we saw it in game 1 where he's hitting like reverse dunks and he's like just doing the most obscene things possible. He's blocking like 3-point shots from 7-footers and he's like getting blocks chased down that he should never even come close to. I mean, like his pump fake on the like baseline mid range, like basically the corner 3, where he steps through and goes for a layup where like his hand is at the rim. Like there's just things that he can do that nobody else has ever been able to do. We saw him training with like Hakeem and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett. I think there was like, wasn't there somebody else in there too? Like was Tiago Splitter in there too, or there was somebody else that was like a kind of a weird old Spurs player that was there too. I really wish that he could have trained with like.
Actually,
I feel like it was like I wish he could have trained with Bill Russell or Wilt. Like I think that would have been so cool to see too. But he's clearly added Hakeem and Kevin Garnett moves to his like and mindsets to his game. He would have won it last year if he was healthy enough, and I think that he's gonna win so many of these if like as long as he's healthy enough. And I like for so many people that say like as long as he's healthy, I don't see Wemby as an injury-prone player yet. I think that his injuries were so freakish that it's like when an NFL player like tears their ACL, they're not injury prone if you get an ACL tear. Like that is a freak injury that doesn't happen multiple times typically. So him getting deep vein thrombosis, I will bank on him not getting blood clots in his shoulder again. And if it happens, then I'll eat my words.
That'll be heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean that's life threatening. Like, and he said it like that really gave him a different perspective on life, which like has also changed the way that he plays basketball and goes into the games and everything. He's just a one of one player, and I'm very excited to see what comes of his season because I think we're in for an all time, once in a lifetime kind of season.
Yeah, I think if the Spurs were like able to somehow, like we were talking about, get into a home court advantage situation in the playoffs, Wemby will have a very strong case for MVP and DPOY, which is something we've only seen happen. What is it, like 3 times in NBA history?
Yeah, something like that.
He is that guy, and like he will at some point in his career win both of them because we are already seeing that this dude is just. I mean, you don't even have to talk about his offense. The impact he has defensively is like a 8 foot tall Bill Russell.
Hmm.
Um, you can't get shots up around the paint. He deters anything shot within 10 feet of the basket. Like it's just he's an alien. Like yeah, it's how he's advertised himself. It's exactly what he is on the court. I've never seen anything like this in sports in my life. Like just such a freakishly sized and talented person for his size relative to his size and his sport.
Hmm.
Like it is just I've never seen anything like it, and there is no one who will even come close to competing with him for DPOY if he's able to play 65 plus games this year. Like he will be the runaway favorite from day one until the finish line, and the Spurs metrics on defense will be interesting to see this year because with him on versus him off, I'm interested to see how good their defense will be, how much impact he's having statistically, and like
Hmm.
as far as the eye test goes, like the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think. I mean, like a couple points there. I think that maybe it's like we'll see about this season. I think in general though, Chet is going to have good cases. Um, like this is going to be a real battle. I think more so than people admit between Chet and Wemby. I think Wemby's obviously going to get more awards and he's going to come out on top, like career wise. But I think Chet's going to win at least one DPOY. I've always said he's going to win like two. I think that he's at least one, at least one. I just think like team defense eventually is going to come into effect where the Thunder just have like the best defense of all time, and let's say 3 years from now, and it's like we have to give it to Chet like one of these. Like Wemby won the last four. Voter fatigue's a real thing. Like Chet is eventually going to win one. But until then, well, I mean, Wemby, like you said, he day one clear winner, like clear unless he plays as long as he plays 65, he will win the award. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, he's going to go down as the GOAT or close to it, and it's just like I'm very excited to see what his career comes to be because he's one of my favorite players in the league, and he will always be. Like he's been that way since before he was drafted. I just knew he was gonna like he was just that fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of his game. Um, Anything else to add, Depoy? You want to move on? All right, most
We're good there.
improved. I've got Modest Buzelis, and you've got Shaden Sharp. Um, I hope that you like the pictures I've added for all these players. Why do you have Buzelis at your? Sorry, why do you have Shaden Sharp rather at your most improved?
Like I was saying when I was talking about the Blazers, this is the year, and he's got the big opportunity to start. He's going to have a like month and a half here where he's going to have to be the scorer. He's going to have to be the guy outside. Like it's going to have to be him and Denny. But like no Scoot, no Dame. It's his time to kind of take control and lead this offense in year. I think it's 4 now. Yeah, year
Mm,
4 already. Wow. Um, and he was fantastic when I forget who it was. I think it was when Scoot was out of the lineup last year. It was like 10 games that he played without Scoot. He averaged 27 points per game. I think he has all the tools to be like a very good scorer in this league. And, if he can improve his efficiency, I think he'll be a player that's averaging 22, 23 points. Like a 5 point per game leap is 100% something that
mm.
with better efficiency and with the Blazers taking a step up as a team into the play, and as I'm predicting, would be enough to get him that award.
Yeah, I think it's fair. He's going to have a bigger role, and he's going to be expected to do more this season. Shaden was one of the guys that I was looking at for this award. And they do need that like second offensive creator with him and Denny. And it's not like you're like Klingon's not going to be a huge offensive guy. Drew Holiday is not going to be taking an obscene amount of shots away from anybody else. And I mean, you saw Shaden go down in 3.5 points per game last year. So like I mean, he did 18.5 before. I don't see why he couldn't do that again. I could see him getting like 19. Um, or sorry, that was last season. 18.5 was last season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that the 2025 stats are now there too. So I think that he could be at like 20, 22 at the most. And yeah, I think like his passing, I mean, it went up in game one, but I think it could, like, he's below 3 assist guy his whole career. I could totally see that getting to like 4 or close to it, which is like more ball handling roles, especially while Scoot is out. And then if he could just like up the 3-point shooting and just like up the efficiency overall, like get closer to 50% for the first time in his career, get closer to like 35% for the first time since his rookie season. There's a lot potential like improvements in Shaedon's game this year. I took Buzelis though. It feels like Buzelis is a pretty popular pick, but the odds have him like 10th or something. So like that was pretty interesting to me. Like Amen was like number one, which I don't think Amen is gonna take a big enough leap again to get most improved. But I think Buzelis is gonna, like, the keys are his 1,000,000% on the Bulls. I mean, it's just like, especially like if like Vooch is gone this offseason, or sorry, like during the season, there's just not a lot of like, Giddey and Kobe White aren't like so like necessary. Like Buzelis can be the best guy there for sure. He looked really good in the first game this season. He put up 21 points, pretty efficient. And I think that he like has the potential this season to go from under 9 points per game last year to like 16, 17 points a game this year, like maybe 15 at the lowest. It's just it's an opportunity thing, and also it's a like growing skill thing where I think he's just going to get better, and like just improve overall. I mean, going into his second year, they typically your players, but I think his jump is going to be pretty massive to the point where they kind of have to. He was decently efficient last season, but like if he could be even more efficient than 45% from the field and 36 from the three, averaged 3.5 assists last year, only averaged 3.5 rebounds, only averaged 1 assist. So if he could go up to like 2 assists and like 5 rebounds, which I think is certainly possible, I totally see him winning this award. Once he's finally got to the starting lineup last year, he was like, he really, really consistently game by game got better. And I like Buzelis a lot this year. I think that he's got one of the brighter futures in the NBA for the younger guys. And yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I mean, do you like the Buzelis pick? Like, was there anyone else that you were considering?
I didn't really look through most improved player that much, honestly. I don't mind the Buzelis pick at all. Yeah, I just thought Shaedon Sharpe would be a good pick for it. But this is an award I honestly don't really care about that much, especially recently since it's felt more like the guy we expected to be good becomes good. So now give him most improved player award.
Yeah, once Ja got it, it kind of ruined the award for me. Because I was just like, Ja was obviously going to be good, and then it was like, oh, he's good. Like, duh, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, we can move it along. We'll go to 6-man, and this one we have the same guy. We both took John Collins. So, I mentioned it during the Clippers preview, where we both had them pretty high. I think John Collins gonna have a great year. I did a lot of the talking for Buzelis there. So you go into why you think John Collins is gonna win 6-man.
Yeah, I think John Collins is just like he's a great like double threat when he's a starter. I think he's that guy off the bench who's going to be like the new era Montrezl Harrell, like energy, just throwing it down, grabbing offensive boards, catching lobs. He's not the best defender, but I think he brings a lot of energy to this Clippers team off the bench. And I think with Harden, it's going to be a fun pair to watch. I think these two together are going to connect on a couple of highlight lobs this season. And he's also able to space the floor a little bit. So I think he's going to be a very valuable asset to the Clippers this season. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts a lot of games this year, honestly. I do think he'll end up being more so on the bench. But, with all the injuries the Clippers usually end up having throughout the season, this is a guy you can slot into your starting lineup. And a player this good coming off the bench is honestly pretty big rarity in the NBA because this guy starts for a majority of NBA teams. So to me, that made him the clear 6-man pick to me. But
yeah, I think there were he was like my instant pick. I felt pretty confident about this since they said that he was going to be off the bench, which I was surprised about. I thought Derek Jones Jr. was going to be coming off the bench. I understand why they do it because, like, if you start Collins and Kawhi has to be your primary defender, and you just don't want that to be the case. So I get why they do this. But John Collins, like, I feel like people don't realize how good he was on the Jazz. He got a lot of slack for his up and down performances when he was in Atlanta for so long. But on the Jazz, like last year especially, really good rebounder, really good scorer, efficient, 40% shooter on 4 attempts per game. 50, 40, 80 is what he shot. 8 rebounds a game. He upped his assists to a career high. Like he averaged a whole block a game, a whole steal a game. He was more ball dominant than in years past too. He was playing like more minutes than the years prior. I think that this is that was such a big get for them. I think he's going to be a great lob threat with Harden. He's a good defender, and I think that he's just going to play a like very pivotal role in them reaching their ceiling this season. I think that he's just going to be a great role man with Harden. I'm really excited to watch their game together because we saw how good he was with Trae Young, at least offensively, and he's improved his game overall since then to be like more of a shooter now and to have better defense too. Like I think that they're just a match made in heaven. So it's a pretty perfect situation for him to go to. I don't really have anything else to say, honestly. We can just keep it moving, I guess. Moving on, Rookie of the Year. We both took the same guy. Cooper Flag is just kind of obvious. He didn't look great in game 1, I'll say that, but I feel pretty fine saying that he's going to be the biggest, the most important rookie this season, the biggest role, the biggest opportunity to win this award. And he's going to be like biggest role on the best team. It's just kind of how is the best situation for him to win this award. If he's going to be playing primary point guard or not, we'll see what happens with that lineup situation. But Cooper Flag is just he's got it really comes down to opportunity and role, and he's just like substantially bigger opportunity to get more shots up. He's starting on a playoff contending team. Like I think Ace Bailey or Edgecombe could make it interesting, but like I don't expect Edgecombe to put up 30 every game, and we'll see. In a month or so, we'll come back to this, and we'll see if Edgecombe is the clear number 1 guy at that point. But and he looked great, no doubt about it. But I just think Coop's like I just trust his outcome to be the best in the league from this class.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page as you here. Best team, best situation, biggest role, best player. It's like the perfect storm for a clear Rookie of the Year. And he's got the narrative going in. Like he could honestly not play like that much better than the other rookies, and he's still going to get it. It's kind of just how Rookie of the Year goes. Too. Most of the time, you usually know who's going to win going in. Unless somebody gets hurt, that person usually wins. And with a player this good, I expect him to adjust just fine. And yeah, I think this would be a pretty clear Rookie of the Year winner.
I'm right there with you.
Gordon hit another 3, by the way. This is unreal. He's got 39 points.
Holy shit.
He has 9 threes. He's 9 for 10 from 3 and has 39 points.
That's crazy. All right. That's wild. All right, moving along. Clutch Player of the Year. We both have the same guy. I thought it was funny that I included 2 different angles of the John Collins poster. We both took Anthony Edwards. This team, like, Clutch Player is such a whatever award. It's so Mickey Mouse. But, like, to me, the way you determine it is what team is going to be the most slightly above average and playing a lot of close games. Because you have to be like, Anthony Edwards was in the conversation last year. I think he had the most clutch minutes, the most clutch field goal attempts, but he was awful in the clutch, and they didn't win a lot of games. So he didn't win it. I kind of just expect that to reverse this season, where like I kind of said it earlier about the Blazers, like a team that loses a lot of close games one year typically wins a lot the next year because it's just a volatile, like it's not a stat that you can count on year by year. And I think that he's a good player where it's like he can just be like he has proven to be a clutch player. So I don't see why that he can't do that this season.
Yeah,
that's basically the entire.
First game first game of the year, he basically put us away by himself. I think that's just going to be a theme for the Timberwolves this year, is him showing up in the clutch, and he's going to have to be the guy to get the job done.
Yeah, I could totally see it being Luka, because like they're just going to have to they rely on him to hit a bunch of big shots on the stretch. But I think the Timberwolves rather will win more of the close games than the Lakers will, and that's probably what's going to end up coming down to who wins the award. Do you have anything else you want to say about this? Because I personally don't. Okay.
No. So
last one we have, Coach of the Year. So I go with Mark Daigneault. And you go with David Adelman, who is clearly represented here by this real picture of him. Why do you have Adelman versus anybody else?
I think, first year coach, he's going to be able to get this team towards close to 60 wins and the top of the Western Conference. I think that'll be enough to win the award. And Aaron Gordon just scored again. I mean, this is and won. This is the best player I've ever seen in my life. Adelman is, I don't know. I think him as a first year coach being able to do that with the Nuggets will be enough, especially since a lot of the schemes that they've implemented on the defensive side of the floor are the reason that they played so well against the Thunder. I think that'll carry over into this season. His ideas, his philosophies that he brought to the team, improving them, are going to be part of the reason why they play better. I could see, obviously if the Thunder flirt with the win record, Daigneault's going to get it. If they even touch 70, Daigneault's going to get it. And I thought Daigneault should have won it last year. So but to me, it almost never goes to the coach with the best record. It feels like it always ends up going to a team that either a first year coach or a team that accomplishes more than people thought they would. So I think it'll go to Adelman this year.
I could see it being Adelman. I also, based on our standing predictions, I could see it totally being Ty Lue. I could see it being, I forget what the Spurs coach is, but if we both have the Spurs being that good, I could totally see it being them. Maybe Mosley or oh my God, now I'm blanking on the Pistons coach name. My God, why am I blanking? Pistons coach.
Bickerstaff.
Shoot, what is his name?
It's Bickerstaff, isn't it?
Yeah, Bickerstaff. Yeah. Both of them are going to be competing, but I just don't. Yeah, you're right. I just don't. I think if the Thunder are as good as I hope they will be, then this should be the Coach of the Year. A different situation now, and I thought that he should have won it last year too. But I have him winning it this year. And Adelman, I totally get why you would have them. It makes sense. Last one we have up on the board is champion. We both take Danilo Gallinari's OKC. See, if we had different ones, I was going to do two different pictures of Danilo Gallinari, but we both took the Thunder. You said
the Nuggets.
Okay, interesting. I didn't. I pretty comfortably have Thunder winning back-to-back. I think that they are the best team in the league. Kind of substantially a little bit. I do feel like they have a leg over every team. I get that they went to 7 with the Nuggets last year and the Nuggets got better, but I still don't think the Nuggets a traditional 7-game series means you're really, really close. And I don't feel like we were as close to the Nuggets as a 7-game series truly entails. I feel like it was more so they just have Jokic. And they hit a bunch of stupid shots too. Aaron Gordon 3-pointer with 1 second left, which apparently I guess isn't a stupid shot because he's just the greatest 3-point shooter ever. But whatever. Both have the Thunder winning. I would agree versus the Cavs as well. I had us versus the Celtics last year, and I really wanted to see the Cavs once we played them early on in the year in January. But yeah, Cavs are just the best team in the East. Thunder are the best team in the West. It could be the Knicks, which I almost hope it is because that would be the fastest sweep of all time. But Cavs would be a better series, and more competitive, more fun. I don't know. Cavs, Thunder. I'll take the Thunder. You have anything else to add to the championship pick, or?
No.
All right. This is the summary of all of our awards. Both have Shea MVP, both have Wembanyama Depoy, both have Cooper Flag Rookie of the Year. I took Buzelis Most Improved. You took Shaedon Sharpe. Both have John Collins, Sixth Man. Both have Anthony Edwards, Clutch Player of the Year. I got Dagnall for Coach of the Year and Thunder Champ. You have Adelman, Coach of the Year and Thunder Champ. So overall, these are our awards. These are our standings. Decently different, I feel like, compared to other videos we've done where we kind of have the same opinions. Awards were pretty similar, but the only one that I could see going different was I didn't know if you were going to go with John Collins, Sixth Man. I love that pick, so I knew I was for sure going there. But a lot of these awards, especially the top three, I put in a parlay for Shea MVP, Vic Depoy, Cooper Flag Rookie of the Year, because those to me feel pretty especially Depoy and Rookie of the Year feel pretty locked in. I just think Shea is going to win the MVP. Just over 2.5 hours. It's pretty good. You have we've got some Tom Aspinall UFC fighting this weekend, which is going to be really hype. I don't know. Do you got college basketball coming up here? Oregon did end up beating Rutgers, unfortunately. That was surprising. I don't know.
Shocker.
South Carolina plays Bama this weekend. I'm hyped to go to that game. Get to go scout Bama's players because that's the only reason I get to go to these games at this point, because South Carolina sucks. I don't know. Anything else sports-wise you want to talk about? Mariners tough loss. You want to just move along past that, or you want to bring it up?
Yeah, we can skip past that one. Yeah, that team will never touch the World Series.
Yeah, I can't imagine the heartbreak. I felt sad when the Sox got first rounded to the Yankees, but that's just different.
Well, 2016 Western Conference Finals, close, essentially. We were up 2-0, went back home and lost the series in 7 after leading 3-1 in Game 7. So that's almost as bad as it gets.
Are you saying the Thunder in 2016? Is that what you were saying there?
That's what the Mariners just did, and it's for you what the Thunder did in 2016. That's what.
The fair enough. You're not wrong. And Vlad is kind of like Steph, I guess. So Vlad is having a
really hit every time he was up to the plate.
Yeah, he's having a crazy playoffs. I think he had after Game 5 or so, he had 6 home runs in the playoffs so far. It's just crazy. But yeah, these are award standings, over unders, everything. I think that's really all for that we got to hit on though. I don't really think there's, besides NBA back and NFL. Giants lose to the Broncos. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't know. Jackson Dart supremacy. That's where we're at.
Back
Fired
Ravens running the table.
Yep. Kyle Hamilton said every game's a playoff game. They can make it, man.
That means they're going to lose out for the rest of the year. That's awesome. The Ravens treat every game like a playoff game.
Let's respect Lamar. All right. Well, playoff Lamar is going to say something different. All right. I think that's basically all from us, though. That was a pretty good. This was under 3 hours. I'm very, very happy about that.
It's nice.
Yeah. I don't know. Until next, I guess, should I post? Because I'm going to post this picture of the awards and this picture of the standings. Should I do it tonight, or I'll do it tomorrow? That's probably better.
Probably tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, as this Nuggets game comes to an end, kind of 5 minutes left, they're up by 4. Anything else you want to talk about, or are you ready to get on out of here?
I am ready to catch the end of this Warriors game.
Yeah.
This is exciting stuff.
Chase unlikely to be back next week, but he'll be back one day. And
Someday.
yeah,
Indefinite. We'll see.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, indefinite. He's like Chauncey Billups. It's an indefinite suspension right now. I don't know what what we're doing moving forward, like topics wise, but I'll figure it out. I'll probably talk a lot of NBA. So happy that basketball's back, man. Dude, all right, I'll say this before we go. Going from 2 games on the opening day, fantastic. Like the 2 game, I love NBA 2 games. It's just the best. Getting to watch 1 game solo is preferred, obviously, but then getting like 12 games the next day was just such a like it just felt like you're flooring it into the season. Like I was just not ready for like that amount of like I was watching 8 games at once yesterday. It was so much to handle.
That's how it normally goes, I think. The
no,
first
for
day is
sure.
always like a couple
Sure.
games, and then they just
Yeah.
slam you with
Kings, Suns,
usually a lot of
Hornets,
horrible
Heat.
basketball. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yesterday was
We got
pretty
a
good.
ton of games
Pretty good.
tomorrow as well. We got 12
Yeah,
games
it's just kind
tomorrow.
of man. And like I'm taking classes this year. Like last year I wasn't, so I don't have time to watch like as many games this year as I did last year. So I don't like I want to watch as many as I can. Like, I literally was watching almost every game last year, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Whatever. We'll get out on it here though. Just under 2 hours 45 minutes. Pretty good. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time. See you around.